Futures back upside here this morning to kick things off as we head towards the start of big mega cap tech earnings coming after the close tomorrow, and also a Fed meeting, by the way, coming up tomorrow as well. In the afternoon, we'll hear from Fed Chair Powell potentially for the last time here as we head towards the spring. A lot to discuss this morning, including nice beat from GM to the upside. General Motors looking pretty good here this morning. UNH reported as well, guiding higher. Stock is downside. However, here's how the S&P 500 is looking right now. Pretty good day yesterday. Did get a bit of a pullback into the close and after market as well, but gapping through some key levels here this morning. Yeah, more tariff talk potentially to deal with, targeting South Korea this time this morning. As I mentioned, UNH on watch, Cloudflare as well. Moving around here this morning. There's a long list of earnings out this morning, including Boeing, UPS, RTX, GM, as I mentioned, AAL, just to name a few. One of those energy names, kind of interesting, NextEra, NEE, one we've mentioned on this show many times, to the upside as well.
Yep, that's the last one on the morning note. Good morning, guys. All those names that Brendo just mentioned in the morning note, so if you want a deeper dive, go ahead and check that out. Yeah, NEE, really interesting look here, Brendo. It's down 0.5% at the moment, but good report for them, as a lot of focus now is on this sort of clean energy to build out the data centers. So we'll keep an eye out on that. A lot of different defense names as well reporting this morning. We got the Raytheons, we got the Northrop Grumman's, Boeing as well, which has a defense sector, all reporting this morning. And then GM, nice look with Mary Barra really focusing on those new energy vehicles. Gone are the days, I should say, of focusing strictly on that electric vehicle build-up. Good move by the company. Yeah,
I mean, they made that hard pivot, I guess it was Q3 last year, probably coming out of the summer into the fall, and said, yeah, that's it. Focus is shifting away from EVs entirely, and boy, have they ever. Here, meanwhile, I want to show this real quick just to start things off. This is the dollar this morning, just off a cliff here in the past few days. This is a daily chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 7 days, just straight downside. We're right back to levels that came into play last summer for the dollar. So a ton of weakness on the back of continued strength in commodities once again, and a lot of geopolitical concerns.
You know what's interesting? I want to start seeing whether some of these trade deals that we're seeing being announced by different blocs, case in point, the European Union possibly with India, whether or not that trade, Brendo, is going to take place using US dollars or one of their currencies. Because if it is, if they start, these different blocs start trading with each other, they may have a different reserve currency off which they base trade. So that would obviously weaken the dependence on the US dollar. Not to mention, we've already seen central banks move away from the US dollar in favor of some of these precious metals. But I got to tell you, at least from what he was saying initially in the campaign, Donald Trump, he's not really pro a strong U.S. dollar so that he can increase exports. I mean, that's kind of been his focus, to kind of reshore a lot of the production. So I don't think this displeases him all that much.
Yeah, right back to recent lows anyways here for the dollar. Yields a little bit of an uptick here this morning as well. We're still digging out around Toronto. Shout out to Andre doing his best to get here this morning as the subway continues to have issues around this city. But Neil is also back in the chair this morning. Good to have him. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Wow.
I was on the subway. The subway yesterday for me was fine, but I know it was bad for Cherise.
I heard
and then
stories.
Today there was, yesterday I was in and out. It was no problem. I was like, oh my God, the subway's not that bad. But I guess lucky yesterday. That's for sure. And what happened to Andre today? They stopped the...
Yeah, they apparently stopped the... They stopped the keel and had to kick people out.
Yeah.
And you got to make your way. But he made it, so we're here on time, pretty much as usual. That's how we roll. Every now and then, maybe a minute or two here and there. And just on time, the volatility decides to start to pick up. It was actually going to talk about UNH for a second and just sort of get into things, because that's got to be the biggest mover so far this morning is going to be the healthcare names. But man, silver, like right away at 8, the volume just started to pick up, like back above SLV, back above 100. This testing now 102. Like it's already starting to do volume, like big pickup in the last couple of minutes is just trying to catch a bid. So yeah, like I said, volatility is going to be there. I had a fun day yesterday because we built a fort and we had multiple iterations of the fort. And the fort was the theme of the day. I also got my butt kicked in Ticket to Ride, believe it or not, which is like
To Ride, yeah,
remember that game?
we have that game. We have that.
Yeah, and we played chess. So actually, here I have a picture of the fort, only the inside. So we were. So my daughter's like, I only know so much outdoors. It's cold as all you know
I thought the
what.
fort was outdoors. Okay.
No, we literally built this like fort thing in the living room, which now takes up a lot of the living room. And then we're playing Ticket to Ride with like only 2 people, which is a lot of fun. And then we played chess. She didn't beat me in chess though. Ticket to Ride, she won, but she's not beating me in chess. Like that was a difference.
She's not gonna do that.
To keep her real there, just challenge her, that kind of a thing. But yeah, good to be
that's
back.
Good. Yeah, it's nice to have some days off, especially when you get the kids off school and whatnot.
Oh, snow days? She loves snow.
Yeah, today, yeah. So does all. I think many kids. It's one of the best things about being a kid is like waking up and seeing all that snow everywhere. That's for sure. Yeah, Intel today up 3.5%, so that's nice. So we'll have to wait to see why Intel is going higher, down 20% right now from earnings. So a nice move down yesterday for Intel. We'll see if it can continue today. I didn't even look at this thing yesterday. Basically went out at the bottom, so now getting a little bit of a tick higher here. We'll find out the story behind Intel, but I still like that short around this $44 mark, so I think that's something that we can look at here today. And then you had mentioned UNH. Hey, Randy, what's going on over here? Yeah, UNH down 13% today on earnings. Not even a horrible earnings report, but we'll discuss what's going on there. Other names like Molina, Humana, CVS, all of them on watch as well as they continue to sort of get hit there. And then the bank stocks can't really get out of their own way either. But yesterday, a little bit of a move higher into 301. And then I started yesterday with Obi here talking all about the US dollar. And yeah, not a great reaction there. Here it is right here. I still have it up. This is the DXY. And yesterday we were trying to tick higher right there, but this is that US dollar that we talked about. Good for multinationals. We talked about them repatriating some of the money back in. You know, when you sell something for €1 billion and then it's costs more to get that back into the United States, they can book revenues of $1.1 billion or something US dollars. So we'll see how that affects. Definitely known as a tailwind, the weaker US dollar for some of these major names that are coming due tomorrow. We had a nice day yesterday in Apple, but yeah, the dollar continues still down 0.5% today, the DXY. And then, yeah, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be Apple. It's going to be Meta. It's going to be, well, Texas Instruments is tonight. But there's Apple up another 1.3%. I really like the way this one was setting up heading into earnings. So that's continuously ticking higher rate here. But Nasdaq up 0.6. So, yeah, so far so good here today. Should start to see a little bit of a rally. You mentioned silver. I mean, that was... we exited out of our trade history about 105.50, which was near the top, and then whoops, this happened. Yikes. All the way down to $94 goes silver, and as Neil mentioned, just a little bit higher there today. But both silver and gold were at all-time highs yesterday, as opposed to this guy down here, Bitcoin, still at 88,000. Can't seem to get that next leg higher. We'll see if that comes in today. But there's gold again. Both precious metals falling off a cliff yesterday. So yeah, it should be a good one here today. I mean, there's a couple different names. Our watch list is just peppered with a bunch of stuff.
GameStop's on there
today,
again.
GameStop's on there today. QBTS is on there. Boeing.
GameStop waited for 25.
GM had a report.
Yeah.
GameStop had Michael Burry buying more shares.
Got Burry, Cohen as well. Even Alibaba's going to be up. I don't know why I say even Alibaba, like something bad about Alibaba.
Alibaba's great.
No, I only mean like the last few sessions. Like, I don't know, pretty clear downward push. It moved, then gapped higher. Let's see what it can do with 175 today. It's trying to get going. And yeah, there really is a lot to watch. And we got on the rail. Ooh, do I have it up? I don't know if I do. If I can find the
super chat.
Yeah, the super chat. We got a super chat. I don't have that page up, so I'm gonna have to do this. On the Rail TV. Good morning. Thoughts on buying Reddit and UNH dips? Well, one of those two things has they missed on UNH missed on revenue, had mixed guidance, and has the administration looking to put some caps and not hamstring, but yeah, kind of hamstring the industry. Maybe not the best time in the world to be thinking UNH dip buy, right? Like for me, I'd be sitting back and waiting for this to calm down and see what the next shoe to drop is. Because if it was just the earnings, probably still be giving it a heartbeat back under support at 300. Now you throw on top of that the president's actions. Like I wouldn't be rushing to buy into this one at all today. It could absolutely bounce. But when you get double barrel like that and part of its earnings, if you like the 3-day rule in the first place, I mean, I would even think even more strongly about that. Reddit's it's not that different of a case, but I look at the 200 period and the support at that 180. At least it gives something here where you have a bit of a potential bounce spot. Like for a trade, it goes SSR and goes in the 200 period. That'll be at 185, like $7 from here. Possibly unlikely, and then you got support at 180. I'm looking for a bounce in this zone, more of as a trade than anything else. Like it's pretty perilous if we lose the bid here at 180 on Reddit, but at least it's got some bounce levels, and it's not double barrel action like UNH.
Yeah, so many of these names have just done nothing. Like Reddit back to where it was in July, now. So, but a name that people are trying to rally the cart around the horses or something. Meta. Like Meta's been on one the last couple of days. People trying to find reasons to own this name heading into earnings, and there it is, man, right back up to that 680 mark. This is where we said is a time to probably look to sell it. This is an interesting name because I don't think it's positioned well. I thought Apple was positioned well into earnings. I'm not sure Meta is with this huge move right there back up to the upside. So they're going to have to come with something, I think, pretty good to justify this most recent 12% or so move in just under a week. So yeah, this should be an interesting name to look at tomorrow as well. We saw the crazy run up. Not that Meta and Intel are the same, but we saw a huge run up in Intel into the print, and then obviously it gave everything back. So we'll wait. I mean, I still like Meta's business, and we'll see if that can come in. But like that's another name that's all the way back. Like look at Meta, right? Investors have to go all the way back here. This is actually on the year. Meta's finally starting to, well, the year is over with, but back to where we started in 2025. So Meta has really done nothing and gone sideways. A lot of these Mag 7 names have sort of gone nowhere for a while. So, Richtech Robotics, someone just saying there's some news. What's up, JL? You better not be lying about this. But here, $4.60 for Richtech Robotic, another name. There it is, man. Nice move up there. Yeah, maybe there is something here with Richtech and Microsoft, apparently, you're putting in there, JL. So thanks. There you go. That's why you want to be part of our chat, right? I mean, as Neil mentioned, we got a lot of traders. Here, I'll put this up. There it is right here. See, this is what, like, I wasn't looking at Richtech, and then all of a sudden now we're up 21%. So there it is. Thanks, JL822 for this news. And Microsoft's another one of those names that, it's been sort of heading back up to the upside here as we approach earnings. So, a lot of these names starting to make a little bit of sense. The thing is, the Microsofts and the Nasdaqs of the Nasdaq 100 stocks of this world just haven't really done anything for a long time. So maybe now it's catch-up time for the Nasdaq, but there it is. Thank you. Yeah, equals money. Yeah, that is correct on that one. Like here's the Nasdaq, right? Just finally starting to tick a little bit higher. I mean, I guess the index has done something, but you go all the way back here to October, and we're at the Nasdaq key levels there. So yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. Micron has news today. I mean,
Micron making more
upgrade or something, and making more chips or more space.
They're
companies begun construction. That's what it is. Yeah, new wafer fab.
Well, it just tells you the demand is still there. That's a big thing. And I love the fact that you got some small cappers like this running around.
Because 405.
There's a little something for everybody, let's just say. Because I don't know. I like Apple today. It might be a little bit. I'm kind of thinking it might be a little bit quiet on some of the mag names, but we try to play inside the range there. But I do like Richtech. Just to throw it up on the daily chart, it's a pretty distinct level we got going here. If it breaks at about 480, 490, look at that quadruple top. If you include today, the triple top that gets through if it breaks 480. So this has to be on watch. Already a little bit of selling at that same price. So if it can consolidate up here and find its way through that high, this certainly becomes tradable. I know a certain somebody that is almost certainly 100% going to be adding this to their list. And Sharif, there's no chance this one gets away from you unless it loses VWAP.
This looks good, Neil. I mean, it's going to have to hold up, obviously, into the midday. But as you mentioned, it's coming into the levels there that it put in on the 22nd. So it'll have to clear those. Otherwise, we'll have a bit of a top. But 20% is nothing to sneeze at, Brendo.
Team up with Microsoft, and good things happen, right? A bunch of other things just coming across right now. Uber introducing AV labs in an effort to accelerate autonomy ecosystem. Nothing really happening with Uber stock right now. We just got results from Cisco, not that Cisco, but SYY on the NYSE. Nice pop here up to 78.50. for that one. Union Pacific also just reporting some of the rails coming through. We mentioned that NEE. There was a mention of Meta teaming up with Corning. Looks like, which is GLW. GLW up here this morning to $100 or 101. Meta paying Corning for fiber cabling. So not a lot of volume behind this, but not a name we talk about a lot either on NYC. But GLW, nice headline here with Meta.
Yeah, that's not a bad look at all for GLW. Give me an opportunity here to put this up. Yeah, up 6%, Brendo, not a bad look. I haven't had an opportunity to kind of look over this, but 6 1/3, not too bad. Meta also in focus today as a result of, they're launching new paid tiers. So we've often criticized Meta about not being able to monetize that huge CapEx, at least in the short term, while their competitors like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, well, they're monetizing on it pretty aggressively through Neo Cloud. Well, Meta coming out today and saying, look, we're going to test these new paid subscription models across Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp in the coming months. It's going to be designed, what the company's saying, to unlock more productivity and creativity. They're going to maintain a free suite, so Llama and all its greatness will remain free, but you know the new Avocado and the video monetization one called Vibes, those are going to be paid. So it's nice to see whether or not, number one, there's demand for their products, and whether they're able to monetize it in the short term like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are. And number two, what kind of demand there are for paid Meta products.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never paid anything for Meta, and they have that blue check mark thing. I don't know how well that's doing and you know how much revenue that's bringing in, but good to see that they're at least trying.
I think they're going to certainly have to come out with something a little more impressive to get people to maybe switch first, let alone start paying for their products. You guys mentioned the Micron headline. There it is on screen there as well. Micron plans, we just got that weekly ADP number, 7.75K versus 8, so nothing doing there. Micron plans nearly $24 billion investment into Singapore to address further AI-driven demand. So MU up here nicely today.
This is huge, Brendo. I mean, what concerns me is RAM is so up to date down tomorrow. There's a glut of inventory. We can't seem to move it, but now you can't seem to get enough of it. Obi making that point very clearly. He was trying to upgrade his computer, but it's like doubled in price. So here are the details on this new build out. $24 billion, as Brendo mentioned. It adds about 700,000 square feet in clean room space to expand their existing NAND manufacturing complex. It's expected to begin production in the second half of 2028. And we know, while the demand for NAND and DRAM is through the roof as a result of hyperscalers building these data centers to no end.
Mag 7 essentially right across the board, higher here to start. It looks like Apple, as Sean, you were mentioning, leading the way right now. I just pulled up Tesla here. 438 was a level going back to yesterday that we sat on for most of the midday. We're just kind of chopping around here so far. But all of these, good to see for the first time in a while, higher here to start the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
all of them.
Yeah, you mentioned Apple. I mean, yesterday we had Apple as our #1 trade idea down here at 250, bouncing off that 250 level, and it was an absolute monster. Closed the day around 255, 256, and I actually am putting this on the note again here today. I mean, I was talking about how heading into earnings, what you kind of want stocks to look like. This might actually start to creep up a little too high heading into earnings, but I think that's going to have to be like 270, 280. This is what I'm interested on with Apple. Can we get back into this area? Like why it was beat up like that? I talked about. I thought it was rotation, just out of some stocks that had a lot of cash. We saw NVIDIA start to go to the downside. You've seen Apple, Broadcom's been getting hit, and then rotating into some other sort of popular names like a Micron, like silver, gold, all these other names. But now heading into earnings, I think people are starting to, realize that Apple is going to have a good quarter. We've heard great things about the iPhone 17, and hopefully the shipments can continue to work out. And then like that weak US dollar that I was talking about should help out Apple as well. So I like the story. I like the stock. I like to talk possibly about Gemini and what they're going to do with Siri and the new rollouts that are going to be happening right there. We had the cheaper AirTag or something announced yesterday, or a new revamped one. So yeah, for me, I'm looking long right here, sort of yesterday's closing prices. If we get that low, fine, but I'm looking right in and around here, 256 to 257. That's probably a good story for Pinterest there on the board. Like, we saw Amazon the other day start to lay off.
Wow,
Pinterest only $25. Hey, wow, okay. 15%. Not doing any movement on this one, but I would say that's probably a good thing.
Someone's just chilling for 200K on the offer.
Yeah, I saw that. But this is, wow, what a crazy stock this has been too. Down here to $24, $25, looking like a decent area. So maybe you're going to get a little bit of a bump here in Pinterest, but there it is right there, laying off 15% of workforce. That's quite a nice number there. But I mean, I guess that means that they have found something with AI, so maybe they do get more efficient, and sucks for employees at Pinterest, but the stock reflects the poor nature of the business. So anyways, I'm not too interested in that Pinterest play over there.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a bit of a miss. Before we head over to Joe, one thing to know, just to jump back to Meta for a quick little second. Yeah, you can monetize and all that good stuff and try to get people to come over, come back, pay on Instagram, etc. I think that's a good plan. That said, today, the 200 period's huge resistance and has been for the last 2.5 months. If this gets into like 680, which is only 1% away, I'm looking for like a mean reversion play on this, just a trend break. I'm looking for like continued strength, but if it presses into that 280, to look for a bit of a turn. And I would think it would be better than some of the tops that you've seen before. But another place where we can find action, activity, maybe some good areas to look would be with our good friend Joey Options.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Once again, lots of activity in the derivatives world. So let's take a look at what we got going on in some of these names. Apple climbing a little bit higher. And at that 260 level, we're seeing a lot of volume start to step in, and then open interest, relatively cool. We're sitting around 17,200 on the OI side, and then volume 40,900. Now, surprisingly so, this is after the close, so I expect this to tighten up in the open, but we're looking at a $10 spread in AAPL. That's going to tighten up for sure. I think you'll get around a couple of dollars on that front. But as for your delta, considering it's pretty close to ATM right now, it's relatively cool, and same with your gamma exposure. But one thing that I will be keeping an eye on here is the at-the-money implied volatility starting to increase around 49.8%. I think that's a little high for Apple, so just be prepared for some potential downside. Also, the options market pricing and earnings reports, right? You're going to have those implied moves. We'll get to those throughout the midday and see what we're looking at from a percentage metric. But I also want to take a look at the contract here, guys. You can see it on, we got a double chart here essentially. But once again, we're going to be going over this quite often, and that's just the effects of theta throughout these, the lifespan of some of these contracts. So at one point when we started to see some form of liquidity, that's going to be in late December, $23, you're now down to $3. That's 85% of the value of its contract has now gone and most likely will never return in the span of a month. So that's very interesting stuff. I love looking at a theta decay and how it can affect it and how you can optimize it and take advantage of some of these opportunities. Moving on here, we're going to take a look at Google, another one of the Meg 7 moving to the top side in yesterday's session at that 340 level, guys, once again expiring this Friday. We're starting to see some more activity, and the implied volatility slowly starting to kick up as well too. So open interest sitting around 61,500 and volume around 42,000, and that's only a $5 spread. You can see the bid sitting around $2.14 with the ask at $2.19. Don't forget, this is options land, so you have to multiply that by 100. Now, as for your delta and gamma exposure, relatively cool as well. At the money IV, once again, you're starting to see a slight uptick. Now, as for some of the put contracts, guys, how can we identify, even though it's not written on here? Well, your delta is always going to be negative. IBIT with some pretty cool volume at that $45 level. But what I'm looking at here, guys, as a potential put wall, maybe you'll find somewhat of a bounce here in IBIT off of that level if you do get into that zone. Open interest sitting around 16,500. And once again, the value of those contracts, you're paying $5 for, or you're paying $8 for them. That's nothing substantial, right? If you're looking to have a little bit of fun, then there it is, $8. That's the max you can lose on that put contract at the money IV at 42.2%. And then here we go on to silver. No, this is not a call. This is once again a put. How do we identify that negative delta? Now, as for silver at that $90 strike price, we've seen around 107. Yesterday was around the peak, and then we've seen some aggressive selling step into the overall market and into silver, I should say. Once again, spiring this Friday. Open interest around 6,201, and then volume 40,600. Bid and ask, that's pretty hefty if you ask me, but once again, this was documented after the close, so you're going to slightly see that widen. At the open, I'm going to look for that to hold, but potential base at 90 here, even though we're north of 100 once again in SLV, delta 0.365, and your gamma exposure as well too. But something you need to keep your eye on, and you guessed it, yes, it is your at-the-money implied volatility sitting at 143%. Guys, keep an eye out on that. I think that's options writer's land, just in case you want to maximize the premium you collect. Other than that, we'll be back momentarily with some upgrades and downgrades.
Yes, sir. That option segment brought to you by electroCore Inc. Trade on the Nasdaq with the ticker ECOR. electroCore is a commercial stage bioelectronic medicine company using non-invasive neuromodulation to address chronic pain, headache, and wellness conditions. The company recently reported record revenue, guided to approximately $30 million for full year 2025, and strengthened its balance sheet following the integration of Neurometrics and its Quell platform. With high-margin recurring revenue, growing VA and consumer channels, and a clear path toward improved cash flow, electroCore is positioning itself at the intersection of medical technology and wellness innovation. To learn more, visit electrocore.com or follow the company under the ticker ECOR. You can scan the QR code you see in front of you for more information. And on that on that options rundown, we'll talk a lot about silver almost every single day, the way the metals are moving. But as we were just on the Mag 7, Alphabet has an all-time high breakout potential today. That 340 that was mentioned, that's within sights.
Oh, yeah.
For today. Like, this could easily break out this morning. Now, the market's pretty quiet. Whatever. We're pretty quiet. The Nasdaq 0.6 and made its highs in the overnight or early in the morning. So we're actually backed a little bit off of the highs. I would suspect you could have a bit of a test lower. I still have like a bit of a, like we chewed through, it looks like it chewed through it yesterday, but I had this 30 to 32 zone where there was a bit of chop. I could tighten that up a little bit. And that was last week. And I'm sort of thinking this is where I want to find that support. Maybe a little bit above that 32 on any potential dip. Like if this tries to go red, that'd be at 333. That gives an interesting spot to try to look for longs into this potential break for Alphabet. They got a great moat around them. Again, as we get into earnings, obviously everything's going to start to, it's not going to matter what you were doing going into the earnings after the fact, but we are strong going in for Alphabet here. Like the example to that point was, Intel was pretty good until the report, and now we're kind of looking a little bit weaker as the selling has really started to come into that stock. So for Alphabet, I still like it to the long side, looking pretty long and strong until we get those earnings, and then we'll have to make a different determination then. Lots at stake, and we haven't even talked about the memory chips with regard to Micron, but SNDK, yeah, their time is coming. They report this week. And then push comes to shove on Thursday for SNDK. Up another point on sympathy to Micron, but they're going to have to really produce this week on earnings, or this could get shellacked.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about all that. The Micron story is a nice one with more production being created. We'll see if they can take out that 412, which is the high on Micron. All right, it's 8:30. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're here early every day now, 8 a.m. So we want to thank a couple thousand of you that have joined us once again early, 2,700 of you. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, become a member today as well. Lots of stuff happening. Our sheets are full of information and trading opportunities. I'm about to get the sticky note out in just a couple of seconds as well. But yeah, Bitcoin 88,000. We'll have to look at that. We'll have to look at the dollar today. Gold and silvers moving around. All the Mag 7 names getting set to report. GM is moving around right now. GM was up 4%. I don't know if it still is or not. But there's GM with Mary Barra sort of showing us the way in the EV, non-EV, hybrid space. We'll talk about that coming up in just a couple seconds as well. But that's still my Intel chart. There's GM. Sorry, up 5% now goes GM. GM just goes bump. What? Okay, GM was just 82. Not much volume, but there was GM just $82. Now up to 83. Yeah, so it's dancing around. So between 4 to 5% there for GM right now off the open, and that's looking to take out some levels here. So if you're playing like high breaks, this is getting ready to take one out again right now. Basically, this is the high, $84. Right there. You ticked up to 86, but that's on no volume here this morning. So $84 looking like that's going to be a good break level here for GM as well. But yeah, lots of names. Boeing with the report, UNH. So a lot of big down names coming through, and we'll have to wait to see where they go from here. Like UNH, I know that's a name that a lot of us has talked about, but $300. There's so much more than just tech names right now, right? That we talked about, well, Reddit kind of is one, but that's down 10% there as well. So yeah, Intel may have reached its bottom. We'll have to see. It's going to be on the sticky note which way. You will find out very, very soon. UNH here down 15%. All right, I think we're good to go from here. Let's go back over to the desk and see what they want to talk about.
Sharif and I are just laughing about UNH. I mean, why don't you go over that and we
it's
can
so
get into
funny
it a little bit.
It's not a good PR look at all for the company. So they're obviously going through a turnaround strategy now, or at least they're claiming to under the new leadership. And the new leadership here said they're focusing their turnaround strategy on shrinking membership, raising prices, cutting benefits, and improving transparency. I mean, I like that last part, the improving transparency. But I mean, you're a healthcare company. You've been in the, the crosshairs for a couple of years now with healthcare prices going up. Who says cutting benefits? And why would you want shrinking membership? I mean, obviously they want to become a bit more efficient, and I get that, but not a good PR look. I wouldn't have said that.
No, at all. Part of the reason, possibly anyway, is that they are downside. So far today, even though that guide was not bad. Just quickly for anyone just joining, here's how the calendar is setting up this morning. We got that ADP weekly number. It was basically flat, 7.75 versus 8K expected. Coming up at 9 o'clock this morning, some housing data. We'll also get the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index. That's probably the biggest one today. At 10 o'clock, looks like a 5-year note auction coming up later in the afternoon as well. Around 1 p.m., the big economic event this week is going to be tomorrow at 2 p.m. We will get a Fed decision. No change going to come through from Fed Chair Powell. It's, what is it? Last time I checked, it was like 98%.
Yeah.
It's going to be no change. I was just reading a note actually from an economist suggesting that not only will Fed Chair Powell not cut it anymore, but there may not be, even with the new Fed Chair, when that person is put into place, there may not be any cuts for the rest of this year.
And that's actually a great point. I mean, we'll have to reflect on the numbers, but what I want to see is there's rumors circulating that Fed Chair Powell may not leave the Fed, even though, he gets replaced as Fed Chair. That would be unprecedented. Nobody's apparently done that before, and I wonder what the sort of the environment at the Fed would be with, a former Fed Chair sitting there on the committee. So interesting to see, but we saw last week with the GDP number coming in at 4.3, I believe, inflation still not really ramping up to kind of meet the growth. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Just reading a positive note here as well from an analyst this morning on 2 names. One of them, this one, Cloudflare, NET up decently in the pre-market here along with DOCM. This person essentially suggesting that both of these position for agent workloads the best. So 2 days in a row here for NET. Once we get a little bit more into the agentic side of software and compute overall, I mean Cloudflare and NET and DOCN, two that should be among the leaders at least.
This is a huge move here for Cloudflare, Brendo. They're releasing, again, this is sort of, speculative, but this Claude bot, it's supposed to be an open source AI agent. It's designed to work with Anthropic's Claude, but it's not owned or developed with Anthropic. It's owned by Net. It runs locally on devices as well. And these AI agents are growing more complex, and they require secure low latency networks, and that's where Net comes in. Cloudflare, which is, that's where it says where they shine. RBC Capital, they called it a derivative call. Wolf Research said it's an AI employee and called it a big moment for edge computing. So kind of mixed sentiment. RBC not so gung ho, but Wolf likes it.
I am all about agents at this point. If there's anything that you can think of that you do on a daily basis that's repetitive and just kind of monotonous and doesn't really take a lot of brain power.
Yeah.
Just, gathering data or putting it in a spreadsheet or, sifting through a research note or anything like that. These are unbelievable.
You were telling me something off camera as well yesterday. You're like, a lot of people are writing code for programs that actually do these things for you on a daily basis. Yeah. And that's like another part where Claude comes in and all these vibe coding software services. So interesting look how you can actually monetize
And the best part about AI, I feel, in this, where we're at right now anyways, is that you can use English, to go out and write your own custom software to do exactly what you want that can go and reference and utilize an AI model to actually perform the task. So it's just, it's so amazing, the efficiency that can come from this. A lot of people talking about this one still, Richtech Robotics, if you missed it. This was the headline, teaming up with Microsoft AI Co-Innovation Labs to jointly develop and deploy agentic AI capabilities. So volume kind of dying off here, guys, but we're trying anyways to get back up to 450. Just seeing a note here on UAL, lots coming through here this morning, including earnings. UAL announcing major expansion at Chicago's O'Hare amid hot demand. So still getting a few earnings comments or earnings related comments, guys.
Yeah, one of those two names, and I'll let the viewers guess which, actually tops the stock visualizer here this morning.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Do you think it's an airline or do you think it's maybe Richtech Robotics? I mean, obviously it's going to be Richtech right now. And RDW coming in a close second. Reddit number 3, Yuck, down 9%. SoFi is up a little bit. GM on earnings 4%. UNH, Yuck. USAR, Yuck. As well. Crowd doing pretty good, coming in 9th, and then 10th, well, 8th, actually I missed 8th with CRM, 9th and 10th BBAI and CrowdStrike. If you're wondering what this pretty thing is in front of you, it's a stock visualizer, and you can get symbols like I just saw Viking Therapeutics get thrown in there for a quick little second, just by typing $. So I can go $SLV into the chat, and then eventually you'll see silver come in, RDW. So in order to let us know what's interesting, what's moving, what you guys think, all of our viewers in our community thinks is the most interesting, just make sure you're in the chat. To do that, hit the subscribe button, and then you can join, you can ask questions, you can talk trades, you can talk whatever you're, well, try to keep it to the market usually, but have some fun. But let us know what symbols are in there. Hey, someone likes AAL. Like we joke around that no one really trades the airlines, but somebody liked AAL. No, look, Richtech, I was saying this needed to hold VWAP, and then promptly it loses VWAP. I don't want to call it game over for today. Like, I'm still going to have it on the radar. Obviously, it's not breaking yet, 480, but you kind of like this catalyst. Just give me a partnership with any kind of major cap tech company which has all the cash in the world, and I think that's going to be a good thing. That being said, this is more about the 17%, 18% short float, and the fact that there has been accumulation on the stock, like accumulation at the 200-period moving average, accumulation in front of the 50-period moving average for a bit of a bounce. So this has been in a nice, look, it did the pullback after everyone went nutso about robotics, and now you get a good accumulation down off 3 and then again off the 4 level. So that 480, while it needs to go, we might have to wait for that breakout patiently. I want to see this hold VWAP. If not, like right now, 435 is a key sort of pivot resistance to support level. So the fact that it's bounced there, I do like that 435 bounce, but it needs to now carry an open holding VWAP. If it can do that, then this is one that I'll actually probably look for some longs today into that 480. But for now, it's going to have to go onto the side burner underneath VWAP. But like, as far as small cappers go, it's got a lot going for it if we can start to find some strength before we get to 930.
Yeah, this ARKQ is what I'm invested in, and this is a robotics ETF, and of course managed by Kathy Wood's ARC team. But this has Richtech in it as well. I'm going to try to find out what percent of it's not very huge, but the robotics space seems to be one that wants to work out. I mean, you look at what it's been doing here in now it's 2026, but in 2025, you had $75, $76 start. You ended the year around this $120 mark, and now you're trying to bump just a little bit higher. The number one holding in this name is going to be a Tesla, so you have to sort of like that stock here. Tesla with over 10%, Teradyne, Kratos, Rocket Lab, AV, Palantir, AMD, Archer, Deere as well. So this is giving you a little bit of everything. Here's Teradyne, the second held name in this ETF. So, I think it's like a good little look here. Look at Teradyne, just wow. Okay, I guess I must have bought this ETF a little bit too late. What a stock! Wow, I haven't even looked at this. This is from July. This name was $80. You're up to 237. Okay, hit it. We have never talked about Teradyne on here. Industrial automation and robotics training and testing. This name just, wow, an absolute moonshot right there to the top side. Sure, Andre, throw it up there. Teradyne in the robotics space, absolutely going nuts. Yeah, so SoFi is a tough one. I mean, I'm invested in it, and it hasn't been that tough. I mean, if you're investing in something, then you don't just expect it to moon all of a sudden. We did have some guy on before, Mitch something, was mentioning that he thought this was the next Palantir. It's when someone calls it that, and it's, that's kind of the topping section there over there. So that comment was made, and it was. I still like it. I still really like SoFi down here. I think heading into earnings, we talked about how stocks are positioned properly into earnings. I think this is fine near the low end of the range, right? Trying to break back above the 50. I don't love the fact that this is sloping down. So technically, I think it's still fine. In between these two, the 200 and the 50-period moving average, we like that. It's also at a decent level here for $25. Very, very key level. That goes all the way back to August as well. So August into $23, $22.50. That's the 200 period. I think that's where you want to look to see if there's anything wrong with the name. How far do we jump down? That's about 10% down right there. So if we can get into this 22 area, I think that's a scoop. But for right now, it's a hold for me. I don't think it's a buy at this area. Banks were really, real weak, man. I mean, when the best of the best are down 10% after their earnings, that's JP Morgan, then I would think that, SoFi has the opportunity to make a similar move, and that 10% would get you into the 200 period, which it's basically doing right here for JP Morgan as well. So, yeah, you're coming into some good buy zones for banks. So if SoFi can do well, then I think the sort of ebbs and flows of it all, we can get higher, a lot higher. So it's a hold for me, and a decent sized position in the account. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with SoFi.
Yeah, I'm a fan of SoFi. I want to see this month end on SoFi. On the monthly chart, this is where, if you were long it from way back when in the base of it, that's one thing, and holding and all that good stuff. But from a technical standpoint, we're really going to have to see. It's perfect timing that you're going to get earnings at the end of the month when this top here at about 26 on the monthly, you get some wicks above it, that's what's going to get tested. We'll close holding this after earnings will be huge. If we close this month and are able to open it up above 26 and then hold the next month above 26, that's going to be a great sign for this on the really long-term chart. But on this timeline, you're not making micro little decisions here. If you're holding it on a monthly chart, you want to see a month worth of results after those earnings. So I'd probably put maybe the third week of next month. You probably have a better idea of how well it's doing. And if it can put in a consolidation again above 26, this looks pretty good. But going into earnings, yeah, a lot to be shown. They got a lot to prove like everybody else. But I like the stock long term. We're just going to have to see how we close next month in February. We also need to see some upgrades and downgrades, which sometimes can provide a little bit of a hint as to why stocks without a traditional story might be on the move. Let's find some with Joe.
All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst activity here this morning. We're going to start things off with some downgrades, and at the top of the list, we have Datadog, with a price target being lowered from $217 to $180, still with a sector performed slightly positive. Well, I mean, up 2% here, a little bit more in the pre-market session. And then we have Flutter as well, too, guys. Price target being lowered from $281 to $230, but still holding that buy rating. And then we have Procter & Gamble by TD Cowen, also getting that price target lowered from going from a buy to a hold, but an increase in the actual price target going from $150 to $156. You're down a little bit more than 0.6% here this morning. And then the trade desk as well, too, guys. price target being lowered from $64 down to $53 by Rosenblatt. You're up a little bit more than 0.1% here this morning. Now, as for the upgrades, we have Affirm up 3.3% here in the pre-market, going from a hold to a buy with a $100 price target by Needham and Company. AFRM is that ticker, and once again, you are positive here this morning. Now, CoreWeave also coming out with a catalyst regarding involvement with NVDA. We're up 5% in the pre-market session, but we're getting that price target with a substantial increase, $100 to $140 being that target, but also going from a hold to a buy rating. Now, Target as well, going from an underperform to a peer perform by Wolf Research, and then we have Baker Hughes getting that price target increased by BMO Capital, $55 to $65 is that target, guys.
Ooh, I know CoreWeave will be popular on that list, but Affirm probably deserves at least a little bit of attention. Why? Because yesterday it bounced off of the 200 period moving average. So I like that. I mean, pull back from 85, bounce off this little 70. Doesn't even really retest it underneath 70. So you just kind of get it's not really a capitulation day, but you get the dip to double bottom at 68.5, bounce off to 200, and now you're getting that. I suppose you need confirmation of this at the open, but as long as you can hold on to 70, like here, I think this is a nice little stop and go. And if it can get back to even like 75, 80 area in the next couple of days, that looks pretty good. I might put this one on the side runner. Like if the top names on the list, like our Apples and our Silvers and Intel and GameStop don't necessarily set up, then Affirm, I do like this one off of the 70 level. I'll come back and look at this in the middle of the day. If it's holding above 70, look for a bit of a bounce play along on Affirm. Buy now and hopefully pay yourself later.
Yeah, Affirm, a failed break at that 80 or 85, whatever that level was, there's definitely a problem. For me, I'm going to talk about Flutter in a second, but I have, that should say CRWV, not CRWD. CoreWeave, we're looking at making a move here today as well. So we're just going to update that, but here it is right here, man. Apple, CoreWeave, Intel, and the Qs. So I like CoreWeave down there at 101, but that's going to be a topic that we're going to talk about very, very soon. I wanted to look at this Flutter. Like, this is another one of those names where it's FanDuel. You know, we talked about DraftKings, how that's been going on there. And we do, thanks to Joe for this one, but we get a downgrade today on Flutter. And just look at where this looks like from, like, you know, again, another very successful IPO, like as if. But, I mean, it does come out at 205. They can't control it. It goes to 310. This IPO is actually, looks like it was quite well received, coming out around 2. I know it was a direct list because it's from London, but you know, this 206 down here into 180 seems like it wanted to hold a little bit. Then you went from 180 up to 310. So these are some great levels. But look at Flutter right now down here around this 180 mark. So we'll see. It's a downgrade, so it's not great. But on a downgrade, you're actually up today. So maybe there's something there. The price target was 230. That gets it all the way back here. I still like the gambling angle, despite, you know, what's been going on with the poly market, Kalshi, everything in that realm. I still think these names get beat up just a little bit too much. I mean, I was saying this story, you know, you're just watching the NFL or whatever sport you're watching now is every single thing is gambling. You know, like you watch SportsCenter, along the bottom is rushing totals and, you know, over-unders and, you know, everyone, all these analysts that never knew anything and still don't about fantasy or anything are making these calls like, I believe this guy's going to get a goal tonight or this guy's going to get a catch at plus 500. It's like, it's the stupidest thing, but I think it's part of what we're doing now when we're watching sports is we're gambling. And I think that these are very, very key stocks. So DraftKings, Flutter, all that. I think at some point you want to be able to buy them, and you're getting close to a level here on DraftKings as well, 26 to 28 bucks right here on DKNG. So yeah, Flutter getting hit, DraftKings getting hit, and I think you're getting into some buy zones. Remember, earnings were not well received, made that jump up here, and now you're going to get into a little bit of a slower period as we wait for. I mean, baseball's not really a huge gambling thing, but as you wait for maybe golf and baseball and all that to start to pick up again in March Madness coming through. So we'll see if there's some sort of a give up here in the gambling space. So Yeah, I had some money on this weekend. I do it pretty much all the time. I'll have some money on, again, the Super Bowl. I don't know, it was -5.5 for the Seahawks. I think that's a pretty good cover for them. I think they'll cover that pretty easily. So
I think that'll probably move. I can't see that staying.
Yeah, I think I like to take the money lines though, but
not the way that they've played
5.5.
versus like kind of.
New England hasn't played that well, Drake.
No, they flat out haven't played well. And if the weather didn't get bad, it's like, well, how will that game have differed? Because
I mean, they barely beat Jared Stidham.
exactly, and Stidham actually threw better in the weather than the Patriots did, which
it's
is
in Arizona though. It's
crazy,
in LA, isn't it? So yeah, the weather won't
be an issue. But I mean, stopping Seattle is literally an issue for basically everybody. I don't see how anybody stops Seattle. They're so well coached. It's fun to watch, and they're one of the weirdest teams where an injury actually has made them better. They lost like one of the running backs, and now they're just forced to play the better running back more, and so their ground game's even better.
And they're also they traded away their wide receiver 1, and then they got Jackson Smith and Jigba became that wide receiver.
Exactly.
Like they got rid of DK Metcalf, and then it's normally you don't see that kind of a play, but good job there for the Seattle Seahawks, and great job for the Patriots. I mean, they had a banger season. You never know. Sunday,
anything can happen.
I hope it's a great game, which I think it should be. So
I think we're
able two very great coach teams.
Games in the Santa Clara Bay Area. Ooh. But let's see. Like ultimately, there is a lot moving, and I saw a couple of questions in the chat. One of them was, asking about MP. It's flat today, but it got like rinsed yesterday. And this could be coming into that 50-period support. Like anytime I see stocks, which, like I like when you're looking at an indicator, if the stock respects it, like that's the thing that matters the most. So like it's respecting the 200-period moving average, and it's had some respect for the 50-period. If you look, like clean bounces off to 50, bounce off to 50, and when it loses it, rejecting under. So it's been holding 50. This will be the first chance it gets, I think, this week to test that 60 level and the 50-period moving average for a bit of a bounce. This goes on watch. It's not the same as a firm, which is literally bouncing off it as we speak, but this is on the radar because yesterday it got absolutely shellacked. Now the question is, does it hold that 60 bottom? We'll give it a couple of days to sort it out. The consolidations have been pretty good on this stock when it does. Like when it finds a support level, it gets pretty tradable usually off of that level. So yeah, give MP a day or two, see if it can hold that 60 level.
All right, everybody, PDS Biotechnology under the Nasdaq. PDSB is transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer with initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the United States in just a few years. Please go over and learn more at pdsbiotech.com. Check them out, link in description as well. Thank you to PDS Biotech for their support. But yeah, there it is. Any plans on watching the Super Bowl up on the big desk over there?
I mean, we always do, I think. We'll find a way. Super Bowl, they were asking about?
Oh, yeah.
Plans yet?
Can we watch
I mean, maybe here, yeah.
That'd be great over here, Brendan.
Sunday?
I don't think this is 16 by 9.
There's no, we need like a couch or something. We need some comfortable seating around here.
Figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, we can chop this up into the proper dimensions and actually put whatever we want on there. So audio is not great in here, but I'm sure we could figure something out. Let's talk UPS here. I was just double checking when their earnings call was. There's two sides of this, Boeing and UPS. So Boeing, worth noting, their earnings call coming up at 10:30 this morning. So still some time if you're going to be looking at Boeing this morning. I was just double checking on when UPS's call is. I haven't been able to come up with that yet though. But anyway, UPS going to quote unquote take 18 Boeing 767 planes and sees a total of 15 being delivered this year. I'm not sure the wording on that, but that's the headline. Again, UPS to take 18 Boeing 767 planes, sees 15 of those delivered this year.
That's interesting because that's almost like half a month's production. If you look at Boeing, what are they producing, like 38?
I'm wondering though if this is just backlog, like they have, because it's cargo planes, right? So
exactly.
like it's not going to be terribly complicated, I wouldn't think anyways. But
767, it's not one of the ones that they've really been focusing on, but it is a wide-body aircraft nonetheless,
Yeah.
Brendo, so and more important. And then, well, look, UPS had a decent quarter here. They continued the wind down off, Amazon because Amazon was using them for quite some time. Also, they say that the volume normalization continues to take effect after the COVID boom. But look, hey, domestic revenue did fall 3.2%. That's slightly ahead. The decline was driven by lower shipment volume. Again, some of that being blamed here on the post-pandemic wind down as well as the less reliance on Amazon. Revenue per piece, though, this was interesting to me because it means that they're shoring up costs. It rose 8.3%, which, pricing discipline and margins, not a bad look. Their international package revenue, kind of the opposite of what they did domestically, grew about 2.5%.
I like how they spun that as well. They actually came out and said that they were getting away from the lower end scale of things, the Amazon type deliveries, and focusing on the higher end, more expensive deliveries. So, I mean, you got to make it a positive regardless. But I mean, UPS typically one of those kind of economic bellwethers as well as far as demand is concerned. So, I mean, we're right back down here basically to where it ended the day yesterday for UPS. So it's been down, it's been up. We're right back down now. Again, Boeing guys earnings call not until 10:30 this morning, so maybe worth a watch.
Yeah, Boeing had a great run going into the earnings, but I think UPS. I know it's not been a typically exciting stock for the last few years. Why? Because it made its high in 2022 and has been in a distinct downward trend ever since. That's on the monthly. But it is sort of creeping into potential breakout area. The only thing I would say is on the weekly chart, if I go all the way back to 2022, you see like it's above the 50 on the weekly, it's above, and it's failed it several times after faking you out into thinking it's gonna go. So what'll happen is it'll go above the 50 period for like a month or so on the weekly and then give it up. And that's happened like 3 or 4 times. Well, that's pretty much what's happening now on UPS. So I wouldn't want to be fooled by this. I want to see like a second month of strength before you get involved in this. They're doing the whole spin job, which I think is what you have to do. In mixed earnings, you're going to find a way to make it sound all good. But on the Boeing side of things, I'm mildly surprised at the reaction here for Boeing. It's down to 2% that you just saw. But I think to put in context, this has been up like 40-something% from the lows. So I think it did a really good job to get to this point. And we're at a market right now where almost nobody gets that, hey, look, you get to go flying after earnings. That's just not how it's been working. It's going to have to find what's a good way to put this? It's going to have to find some more calm air on a pullback, right? So sometimes you adjust your altitude because there's chop, and that'll happen here for Boeing. It seems like this 238 will be the first, 37, 38 would be the first stop to see if it can hold on to the prior highs on the daily. Like that's where I'd first look for a bit of a bounce today. Maybe even the 40 level on Boeing. But yeah, it just kind of flew too far going into earnings, healthy pullback in tow.
So Mike, you want to know like how long it took so I posted this yesterday, how long it took to dig out the car. It wasn't actually that bad. This snow, yeah, there it is. I hear Sharif chuckling in the background there. This snow was pretty light, actually. It wasn't the end of the world here on the snow side of things. But yeah, just a little crazy there. About 50 or so inches, about 20 or so inches, 50 or so centimeters there yesterday. So you could just sort of see on top of the car and whatnot how that all looked. So on and so forth. The person beside me, I guess, got out okay. But we're here today, and it was a good one. So we dug out there yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. So we did that, and of course, why have kids when you're the one digging it out? But okay, so that's to take them to places. I really like just on a day 3 play here, Intel. With no real news today, this is day 3 play. It's down 20%. Like we said, this is going to be on the sticky note right there today. Go follow me on Twitter for more fun things like that. I have no problem posting those kind of things. Yeah, it's a disaster in Massachusetts, someone said. But yeah, down here, 43.8. So I have written down here to trade Intel if we can get back to 43. It's just kind of where this 200 period moving average is, was the top right there, and then we went back down in. So let's see if we can support in and around this area, $43 on INTC. So this is going to be a name for me today that we may not get to on the rundown, but you know, day 3 play, really gotten hit. I'm debating actually buying some back right now, but I did that with SMR a little too early. We sold that 57, bought some back at 30. Now it's at 21 or 18, or I don't know. SMR is a crazy one. But yeah, if this continues to fall back in, watch out for support here at the 50 period moving average. But for me today, we're going to see if we can hit this 42.50, 43 area on Intel for a long. So I think that's what we're going to be looking at there today, and then we're going to talk about it, but this is all the names that are on my watch today, CoreWeave as well. You get a dump back into this 200 period at 101. I like that name as well, back down in here. So a couple dip buy opportunities as the Nasdaq just kind of holds forward, and then I'm looking to short the TQQs at the top end. What's up to Jay in the chat? He wanted to know how many positions I'd have on today. I'm not sure, but you know, this little level here from the top side of 56.50, it's been sort of the top for a minute. Actually, this is not, hold on, let me put up a 30-minute chart here, give you guys a little bit of a better look at that play. But I think the Nasdaq is going to have a problem with Fed tomorrow, not just the Nasdaq. Nasdaq is more important to me because we have the earnings coming up. But here's 56.50 for a lot of the major Nasdaq names. Let's see if we can break above this range here today. I'm going to say no. So I'm going to be sitting up here for a little bit of a short. I don't see as too many stories to break this thing out. But if we do break out, then I'd really like the long. So I think short up into 56.50, and then we'll see if it breaks the other way and you know, plays the long side ahead of what's going to be a big earnings week. Join us live Wednesday and Thursday night for earnings recaps. So we're going to be staying a little late past 4 o'clock to give you guys the metas and the Apples of the world and whatnot. So join us for all of that information starting tomorrow night, Wednesday and Thursday till about 4:30, 4 to 4:30 we'll be doing that. So, all right, let's go back over the desk. We've got a rundown here. It's 9 o'clock. Thanks everybody for joining us. We are live an hour ago. So if you can't get enough of us, you can always log in at 8 to see more of us. But we have only now a half hour until this market opens. Let's throw it back to the boys.
All right, guys, we closed out at 692 2/3 yesterday on the SPY. We are inching, as you can see there, really close to all-time highs that we put in back on the 12th and I believe the 13th of January. We didn't really hold it on the 13th. We topping tailed and we ended up closing lower. So we're going to base our resistance levels on the closing prints from the 12th, and that takes us up into that 696 territory, even though we've been into 697. So we're at 694.5 right now. We'll say 696 as resistance, especially if we do catch a bid. If we're looking to sell off, we're going to use yesterday's close, guys. 692 and 2/3, excuse me, Brando, as support.
If you haven't done so yet, absolutely free for you. Down below, the link is in the description. We have the morning watch list that comes out before we come on at 8 o'clock every morning. Has everything on it that is moving around in the pre-market, a little bit on why. Again, all you need is an email, and you can just take that. I mean, you don't even have to do anything. It just shows up. Let's go to tech here to start things off. If you haven't looked at an earnings calendar this week, tomorrow, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and then Apple the following day, going to be the big four. I mean, there's so many more, obviously. Beside that, IBM, we get tomorrow after the close as well. Levi Strauss, there's LVS, some of the casinos starting to come through, Lam Research, LRCX as well. There's a ton. Biggest earnings week of the year. I mentioned to you guys before we came on here this morning, interesting stat. If we get to the end of Q1, or the end of Q4 reporting season with 75% of earnings beating expectations on the S&P 500, 80% of the time, Q1 then ends higher.
I love these
which is a crazy, crazy high percentage to go out of Q1. And I mean, look, it's been a bit of a chop fest so far since the beginning of the year. So this could definitely help coming up this week. I just brought up Meta here. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, but I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row here, just straight higher. We're literally sitting here right below this high from yesterday. A couple of headlines on Meta today.
Yeah, with Meta though, like when we're talking about earnings, what I'm going to be looking specifically to hear is, are they increasing that top line number for ad revenue? Are they maintaining their 80-some-odd% gross margins for that ad revenue? And how quickly are they going to start monetizing their AI CapEx spend? We drew the comparisons earlier with Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, and how they're able to basically capitalize on that from a revenue source immediately because they're offering these AI products in their cloud service. We're calling it NeoCloud. Meta doesn't have that, so they got to monetize it some other way. With Apple, of course, I'm looking to hear more about iPhone sales as the 17 cycle seems to be pretty good. Also, with respect, you know, Apple doesn't typically tip their hand when it comes to products unless it's at the launch events. But if there is any color in the earnings call by management about upcoming products, I'd love to hear about it. With respect to Microsoft, I'm really going to be focusing on the relationship with Sam Altman, anything basically given on the earnings call about that, because we've been worried about some of the OpenAI valuations. That's number one. And number two, how quickly they're going to continue to expand CapEx, because that may be not directly relevant for them, but it is, of course, relevant for a lot of the microchip semiconductor names that rely.
And we got a hint yesterday from Microsoft suggesting that they were working on or building something in the background that was going to maybe even compete directly with OpenAI on a SaaS basis anyway. Meta, guys, again, looking really, really strong. Some of these just running into earnings season, Neil.
Yeah, this tech analysis and the rundown brought to you by our friends over at Spot Gamma. And as traders, whether you're trading US stocks, options, or futures, at some point, each of us has felt a little bit blindsided. You're suddenly following a stock and then it moves sharply, and you're left wondering why. It's not all your fault. Often large funds have quietly built huge positions in the options market well before the name you're trading reacts. To gain an edge in today's market, Spot Gamma's daily Flow Patrol report reveals where big money is positioned so you can identify stocks building momentum ahead of major price moves. To get 2 free weeks of Spot Gamma's Flow Patrol, scan the QR code you see on screen and go behind the curtain to see what professionals see. And behind the curtain, we're going to find out how earnings go for a couple of big cap tech names this week. We mentioned Meta. Well, in the context of talking about Meta today, just reminded that we have been rejecting this 200-period moving average going into this week's earnings. I'm kind of feeling we don't necessarily break away from this before, so I'm treating resistance as resistance. If we get to 680, I'm looking mean reversion on Meta. And then Apple, that's the one, look, consolidation, 3-day consolidation off of the lows. Breakaway day yesterday. All it has to do is hold the prior high. That's the first place I want to look, is the whole red to green, like hold prior day top and then go for the gold on this name. It's got room to get to about 262 today on Apple. So yeah, I mean, it didn't get all the way to the 200-period moving average, but it found support right where you would have expected it if it wasn't going to be that 200 period. So a little bit of a move into 262. If we can get the prior high, great. If it cannot get there, I almost always look at the volume weighted average. If we break out on a dip, I'm always looking at VWAP. So I'm looking dip first. If we don't get it all the way to prior high, then we got to look at that volume weighted average price for Apple and Meta. We'll wait till it tests 680.
Okay, look, yesterday's number one trade idea was Apple, and it was an absolute monster. We bought it real early there, right around 9:30. This is what we got to do. Brought it up to 254, 255. It can continue to go longer, right? So this is yesterday's sticky note where we had Apple written all over it. There it is right there. We also had the SLV $100.50 long. That went to 106.50, right? We had CoreWeave and Tesla, like all of these names yesterday. And there's Apple. Yesterday we got an upgrade from JP Morgan. So then we sort of just flash forward into today, and we look to see what's going on here today, right? There's an Apple right at the top of the list again for another long. You know, talking up my own book, I own a lot of Apple shares, but 256 to 257 area long. Let's wait to see if we do get that pullback. I like it. Heading into earnings this week, sounds like we're set up for a good quarter. We talked about the weak dollar there, and I just want to get longer if the stock gets weaker. So right now it's not pulling back. The futures do have a chance to make a little bit of a move down, and if that is the case, then I'm sitting here at 256 to 257, yesterday's sort of topping area. And remember, you know, yesterday we had this move down in Apple off the open, which I was long rate. I just showed you the tick. We were long rate here at 250. So yesterday, as Apple, when we're writing the note, is up here at 252 or so, falls right back into our lap, gives us that 250, and we rip it. So right into here, similar trade could be I mean, at this point, remember, I'm writing the note down when you know, it's into these areas here. We've now gone up a little bit upside there on Apple. So I think 257, 258. We'll wait to see how dramatic this push down is on the futures. But I think to be the best spot between 256 and 257. So this is where I'm looking in major cap tech names today. And then I also mentioned my look here on TQQs. And that was going to be this top at 56.50. Just waiting to see if there's anything happening ahead of earnings. I just don't know. We also have Fed tomorrow before we get anything. We have Fed tomorrow, and then we have earnings. So, yeah, this 56.50, I'm not sure if it wants to break that, but this goes all the way back to all of January here. So you're looking at all of January right now. Let's see if the Nasdaq has the get up to go through. I think it actually does. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening with the Nasdaq. But this 56.50, I marked down a short, but you know, a long break looks almost better. So I guess I could edit that sticky note, but we're just going to wait to see what it does at 56.50. So, you know, it's hanging out for now. If the market wants to rally, I think a push through there gets us cooking. So I like that trade there on the TQQ. So that's my little look there. And now let's go over and talk about Micron and their 412 all-time high.
Yeah, and a big check they're going to write, $24 billion worth investment going into Singapore to address more AI-driven demand and making more memory. As we've said, these prices getting a little out of control here as demand continues to soar.
It's one of like the only big RAM companies. That's American, SK Hynix, and Samsung, the other two. But a lot of investments in Singapore, Brendo. Let's talk about this one. $24 billion, as you mentioned, to add 700,000 square feet to an already existing NAND manufacturing complex in Singapore. It marks one of the largest single-site commitments in the company's history. NAND production, as we talked about, from new capacity is expected to be, from this new center, I should say, is expected to begin in 2028. NAND demand has surged because of AI, cloud, data-centric applications, as we've been talking about. Microsoft, their peers as well, Samsung and SK Hynix, also spending aggressively. They're also simultaneously, Micron that is, building another $7 billion advanced packaging plant, yes, in Singapore. Prioritizing HBM has contributed to the shortages that they're producing for others. So you've seen prices go up on basically both sides of the spectrum, HBM and regular RAM, just because they're not producing a regular RAM in any quantifiable amount.
Nice uptick right now here, guys. SNDK also catching a bid here for the memory plays today.
Well, SNDK, as we said, they get to report first, along with Western Digital this week, and we'll see how they are able to hold up. But it's worth, like, you contextualize what's been happening in Micron since this demand has gone through the roof, leading to things like needing this new plant in Singapore. Ultimately, this is up over six times since the April lows, which is, I mean, it's nuts. And you look at the last acceleration of this move for the last half year hasn't really had any weakness. This is the first, like, we're gonna have an inside potential, like, red on the weekly here, which is nuts. And like I said, like, you haven't had any red weeks, and this is forming like it could be one going into those earnings. I don't know, but it feels like it's getting a little top heavy in the space. It has for a while, but this would be the most bearish week that it has going for it. So as we get up into this high, like, my first thought is, if it's going to do something like a clean trend break today, then I want to be looking at Micron. And as it looks like right now, we're absolutely bouncing. We've held 400. If we get up to that 412 all-time high, press, and find ourselves with a clean trend break, I'm just going to be waiting for a spot to reverse it. I didn't pay for locates on SNDK. I think I'm waiting for this stock to report later on in the week. But I think I'll look for that one perfect spot for a reversal play off that high in Micron. And if it doesn't happen, there's other tech stocks to look at today for more structured trade. I just can't buy myself chasing this one up here.
Yeah, I was just looking at the all-time high. I think that's just a break long. I don't really think there's much to worry about it. If it breaks it, then you got it. We have it written down here on e-signal as 412.40 right there. So 412.40 just made yesterday or something, or 2 days ago right there. Yeah, so we'll see if that's going to be a key or not. 412.40, if that's what the mark that e-signal has, we'll just roll with that for now. But I think Micron has a chance to go up another 5%. We talked about, they're going to report later, but you can't stop these momentum names. And we've seen what silver can do. We've seen how much this name wants to run. I mean, if you thought the move was done, at the beginning of January, well, you put $100 more on its head right there as well. So I would say this is a good break spot for Micron, taking out those levels, and why not play some of that momentum game, right? Up 4.5%. So I think this is a long here on MU. And yeah, SanDisk WDC would be another name, to watch out for. Western Digital. All this RAM talk, we mentioned it yesterday there with Obi, like it's getting more and more expensive. Like my son talks to me about it all the time, and we bought him some more RAM just back early December, or maybe even earlier than that actually. And yeah, it's really matured well. Upside right there. So yeah, Western Digital, Micron, SanDisk, all a very, very tradable spot today. And one to look at. So for me, it's Micron with the news breaking through that 412 area. So what about just a long at 413? If it breaks 413, then you can use 412, 411, 410 as your out, depending on what your risk tolerance is. So I think Micron has a chance to go upside here and break through those levels. And if you're long, are you selling up here or waiting to see if there's more? So let's wait to see what that actionable trade is up there at 413 on Micron. Let's go see what happens with GM beats. And it looks like they have a nice little move higher here with Mary Barra.
Upping their dividend, in fact. Lots of positives to take from this as well. GM earnings call, worth noting, was 8:30. Didn't really see anything too shocking as far as headlines coming through from that. But starting to get going here. Once again, we're back above 83 on a nice report.
So decent report, Brendo. I mean, EPS beat easily, and that's the most important thing. But that revenue number did come in a bit light, 45.29 billion, a little bit below that 45.8. But investors here are focusing on the earnings strengths and the capital return, as you mentioned, $6 billion share buyback program. They guided as well another year of strong financial performance, with net income expected to come in at 10.3 to 11.7 billion, with the company expecting EPS to be about 11 to 13. That's in line, and basically I would say ahead, because the expectation was 11.73 and the range is 11 to 13, so not bad. That also includes 10 to 12 billion dollars in spending as they continue to reshape their focus and their mix. We talked earlier about how they're really looking at these new energy vehicles, pseudo hybrid, so to speak, rather than focusing on purely battery electric vehicles.
Might as well split their approach if they're not going to actually win the EV race, as we've seen. But nice look here, guys. I mean, is there a trade today?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like this to break out. I mean, the one thing you'll have with these morning earnings is you really have to be worried about the call and the craziness that can ensue because of the choppy action you get because of that as well. That's why I always prefer earnings to come after market. I just feel like, A, it's more fun for us, but B, you get more clarity in terms of price action and then how the morning is going. That being said, this has bounced pretty cleanly off to 50 in an upward trend. It looks good, but you need proof that we can actually get and hold above this 84. Kind of marked it down as 83.5 on my iPad, but looking at it a little bit more closely, yeah, like this resistance is really more like it's closer to 84 even. If there's no buyers in and above there, then you're kind of rejecting a level on the daily and waiting for a pullback. So yeah, in light of, and the spread right now is 50 cents on GM, so it's not like there's a lot of volume. Everyone's sort of waiting to see what happens at the open. Unless we close a 15-minute bar above 84, I'd stay away from this. But there is a continuation play on an EV name that I do want to go back to. That was the breakdown that was happening in Rivian. Rivian has been falling for a while. Still think it's got a little bit of a ways to go till it gets to the next support, which is at 14.5 bucks or so on Rivian. So I'm looking at 16 bucks even. That gives me like a pretty easy over-under. If we close the first 15 minutes holding under 16, it's another continuation short. For the last 3 days, this one's kind of been falling pretty cleanly and getting close to, but not yet at, I think, its final destination.
Yeah, so for me there on General Motors, I mean, I really like this name. I remember when Dan Ives came and he had mentioned at $30 or something like that, that this was, it was ways ago. I think it was it must have been last year or so, that this was now moving into a tech space, the way that they were operating. I didn't really understand what that meant, but I guess it means revaluation. And GM just continues to absolutely beat up all these other EV names. There's nothing that really looks like this in the space, and it's not even an EV story, right? This is moving into hybrids, higher quality names, America First type of name here with General Motors, and it's just looking like it wants to get going through these levels. So $84 has been a top. So right now we're trying to break through it, and I think it's going to work. Here, $84. So let's wait to see what happens at that tick. But I think if it breaks it, you take the momentum. Well, it's going to break it anyways. You take the momentum through, and then you use some of these, pre-market areas as your lows, which right now would be about $83. So with a little bit of a lack of spread here, like it's 30 cents when it opens up, I like to see it get a little tighter. Let's see where that first opening print comes here on General Motors. But I don't see anything on here as a potential buy or sell candidate on the opening bell here. So we'll have to wait to see where General Motors goes. But just looking at some of those numbers here that the boys just talked about there, 6 billion share buyback program. For me, that's the big one for General Motors. You want to see companies buying back their own stock. 6 billion is quite nice. So there goes General Motors, just up and away. Ford probably going to have to try to repeat this, and we'll see if they can do that. They're up 1% as well, bouncing hopefully off this 50-period moving average. So General Motors there today, earnings of 251, beating 220, sales slightly down, so that's not good. But the guide, actually the guide between 830 and 9 beats it between 975 and 1050. So yeah, the guide is much better for GM, and is the buyback. So guide better, buyback there. That's a recipe for success. We'll wait to see if hopefully some of these tech names can do something similar. So yeah, General Motors, just really working out, man. That 50 period's been really great. 78, there's the break of 84. So up and away with only 10 minutes to go. General Motors, man, basically a dollar cost average machine if you've been doing that for the last little while. General Motors just continues to improve its P&Ls and its profitability. Like $10 is going to be a great EPS to hit there for 2026, and it looks like they're guiding that way. So there we go, man. Capital expenditures as well getting higher as they try to make these plants a little more efficient into the hybrid space. So General Motors now up 6%. Great day for them.
Oh, yeah.
I've been seeing more of those. I don't know if you have, but I've been seeing more of those electric Hummers around too.
I love them, bro.
Popping up.
I love them.
Tanks.
I like the pickup truck, and I like the specific one because it's an SUV and a convertible in one, because you can remove the tops on all four. Like there's 4 cubes, and you don't have to schlep them around in the back. They actually fit in the front, and they're pretty safe. I love that car.
Be great in this crap that's outside.
Love it.
That's for sure. Cloudflare, let's go to net. It's worth noting, big time here this morning, but it's worth noting this one, DOCN, DigitalOcean, also catching a bit on the same headline. Couple of analyst notes on this. Lots of excitement over here, talking about this Claude bot, basically combining agents with their technology.
Exactly, and it's going to work with Anthropic's Claude, everybody's favorite vibe coding service. It's going to run locally on your device as well, executes tasks anonymously, and it can scale by making API calls, like accessing websites, routing inference requests, so it's quite sophisticated. As these agents grow more complex, so they require what the company is describing as secure, low-latency networking, and that's where Cloudflare comes in. That's kind of their moat in this whole thing. RBC Capital called it a derivative call, but Wolf Research described it a bit more optimistically, saying it's going to be an AI employee, and it called it a big moment for edge computing. Cloudflare's up big this morning.
Yep, just seeing as well some comments from the Boeing CEO on CNBC, I guess, right now, guys. So anyone watching Boeing, just a heads up.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing. We know with those morning earnings, it gets a little bit hairy with all the chatter that's going to have to move, that's going to end up moving the stock. Now for Cloudflare, this is it's a great momentum play here for net. The only issue, it's like you're right into resistance without breaking it. Volume is good, there's no question about that. And you have a wide gap, like it's this 14 to 15 area that we haven't been able to hold through. And the gap is all the way down to 3. So remember, it's a $200 stock. but it's a $200 stock that is probably going to be a little bit more volatile than, I don't know, just use like NVIDIA for an example. Like it's just, you're not going to have way bigger spreads, all that kind of a thing. So to think about 200 as a pullback or dip level, like that's very, very reasonable in terms of what it could do if it loses a bit. If it doesn't, then you've got that 215 breakout in play. It wouldn't be at the top of my list. I think you'd be better off playing well, I mean, for most traders, probably a little bit better off playing like a GM on a day like today, like a Boeing, a little bit more traditional. But if you really love this move on net, the other side of the coin is you can basically like have this long if it breaks away, great, but you've got the 50 and the 200 period moving averages if you like those for a bit of support if you want this pure momentum play. Given the catalyst, it's like boom, AI catalyst. I don't like buying that day one, so you count me out. Like I'd rather personally treat it like earnings and just give it a step back to make sure that they don't just dump this thing at the open, which we have seen on headlines like this before.
Yes. I was just going to say there for net, it's like 80%. I just read the stat there. 80% of the, I got to cancel that. 80% of the AI names are already using Cloudflare to some extent. So now that they've improved this Clawbot there, I feel like that's going to just, increase the use case there for Cloudflare. So if you already get 80% of the companies in this business and using your product, and now you've improved it, you've improved efficiencies, yeah, it should definitely add to their bottom line. They've had some outages recently, so I wonder if that has something to do with them trying to, put in the back end some new business there. So we'll wait to see where this sort of new AI tool lands them. And yeah, working out well. We saw sort of the position of Cloudflare when the internet goes down and how many of these companies are actually, using their product for their DDS and their domains and all that kind of stuff. And now we get into security and we get into more generative AI talk. Looks like that someone about this business knows what's going on, and there it goes right there. So what about a 220 break? We're still a ways away from that, but we'll see if we can get back up into that 220 area for Cloudflare. And now that you're down into, you've busted now through the 200, through the 50. This looks like great support. So back down into $200. If you're long Cloudflare, I'd stay there. And it feels like it's going to be a winner in the space moving forward. So yeah, some of these tech names continue to bump and grind here today, up 12%. Cloudflare, only 4 minutes to go. We're getting ready to go here with the Nasdaq new imbalances just came out. We can have just a quick look, and then we'll throw it back over there. Nothing right now of any. We have QBTSs on our talk today on our watch list, so we'll see if that comes through. But next up, UNH. We don't have any UNH on here. Oh, there it is right there. N with an N, yeah, so neutral. I don't know what that means, maybe all paired off, but UNH, just go find the story. Another sad day for them, man. They were really cruising up there to 350, now down 17%. Let's go get the story from the boys, then we'll open this day up.
Yeah, very interesting, as we said earlier, very interesting comments coming out of this earnings report on many different angles here. Here's one of them. UnitedHealth exec saying, encouraged by January performance, found market firm, but still competitive. Meanwhile, if you zoom out, this is a weekly chart. I mean, we're just sitting here on that crash support level from the whole CEO move down when the CEO was tragically shot. Going back to May of last year. So we've made the round trip once again, right back to almost the bottom.
Right back down, Brendo. I mean, and it was a decent quarter, modest Q4 earnings beat, EPS 12.11, 2.11, sorry, ahead of the 2.10. Revenue came in light though, 113.2 billion. That misses a little bit here, the 113.8. The print reflects though tighter cost control, but that top line number continues to be a drag. They guided 2026 revenue above that $439 billion, they guided $439 billion, which would be a 2% year-over-year decline, and it is also well below the $454 billion the street was expecting. This would be the first revenue decline in a decade. The company says it's driven by deliberate right-sizing. New leadership team, as we mentioned and jokingly said earlier, is executing a turnaround strategy focused on shrinking membership, raising prices, cutting benefits, and the last part's not that bad, improving transparency. They also exited non-core geographies, Brendo, like the UK and South America, so they're looking to shore up costs.
I don't get it. Raise prices and cut services.
You don't say that.
Marketing.
I don't know. Whatever.
Marketing, guys. Anything to do here today with UNH?
I mean, the way it's going, you throw all that on top of the administration holding flat Medicare Advantage levels. It's just, I find it hard to believe it's going to be a good day for UNH. It's down over 10%, so it's SSR. I mean, maybe you get an SSR bounce, but like $300 already held pretty decently one time, and then you look at support on the daily, like this prior low here is going to be around the 300. I kind of feel like if it gets above $300, let it go, but it's almost like a pop and fade play. I'm expecting a trend down on this one, so if it breaks out above $300, I'd probably stay away on UNH. It did have, like Sean showed there, it did have a number on it, but I'm not even seeing that anymore on the imbalance locator, but I would suspect you're about to see some record volumes on UNH today, no questions asked. And if it's above 300, I think you let it go.
Yeah, no, for me, OSCR Oscar would be one to look at. I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a smaller name, obviously, than a UNH. Naturally, most names are. But Molina, Humana, all these names getting hit a little bit here on that number. Oscar has had a great level of $18. We're looking to see if we can break through that on some earnings. Oscar, decent short float. It's why I like the name. We've been buying it in this area, and it's been a good one. So we'll wait to see. I think our first buy was down into here, but we bought it last. I don't know if it was back in November, it might have even been here in August, but in this area. So we're coming right back into a buy zone, I believe, for Oscar. All right, trades Apple, waiting to see if Apple dips down. We only have less than 30 seconds right now. Waiting to see what happens with CoreWeave as well, if we can get back in near that 101 area, and then we're looking for Intel long, and then potential look at the Nasdaq today on that top side of 5650 on the Qs, which we just sort of bounced around a little bit, hitting VWAP and then coming back in. Let's see if we get a violent move. This move is brought to you by AIML Health. So go check them out at AIML.health right now. So Intel back to 43. Here we go. Bell is now open. So let's see what happens now with Intel. If that name can make a move down, Apple trying to make a move as well down to the downside. We're just going to sit here and watch for a second. And then CoreWeave. We'll watch it. We'll look over some big names as well. Just going over some of the names that I'm looking at there. CoreWeave still making moves higher, waiting for some dip down. Look at the market starting to fade out just a little bit. Let's see if we can get some of these longs coming back in there. There goes the Nasdaq. I mean, it's not huge, but it's a nice little tick down to start the day.
Yeah, and a bit of a tick up there. Silver had been going down, I'm assuming, with gold as well, but silver had been falling all pre-market, catching a bit of a bid off the 98 level. This 100, it's going to be very key. You need to get back above 100, or this is going to stay bearish. Apple doesn't look like it is dipping too far. You already mentioned Intel not doing much. Oh, GameStop. Michael Burry's in GameStop. Yay, everybody. But it's not going to break 25. You can't break out 25 if you're headed back into the downside. So our favorite, well, whatever. One of our favorite short sellers looks like he likes a long in GME and joining Ryan Cohen, and it is right back to where it broke out yesterday. This is the key area that would have to hold 23.5 for said GME. And NVIDIA instantly, like the market's going up, like the Nasdaq's actually bouncing right now, and I'm watching NVIDIA flying to the downside. So weakness in the chip names. We had mentioned Micron. It looks like it's one of these days where memory is good, and then our typical like regular NVIDIAs and AMDs aren't looking good at all. So no dip buy on Apple just yet. Silver still dancing. It actually hasn't moved outside of the range. And GameStop losing the bid. So the breakout is not going to happen on this name.
Yeah, I'm getting close to buying. I mean, we're still waiting for some CoreWeave. I'm getting close to making a move on Apple. I mean, I know it's not really at the levels that I was thinking about down here, 256, 257, but you're a while away from there. So I was thinking about a 259. We'll see if we can sit there and maybe buy off VWAP. That's where VWAP is right now. We'll see if we can, well, there it goes, breaking back through again. So bye-bye. See you later on that one. Let's check out what UNH is doing. One of the new reports today, you know, upside into 300 again and then right back in there. So now you see UNH making new lows, trying to break a little through 293 right there. See you later, UNH. Wow, Apple's motoring now to the upside. Definitely a missed opportunity there. Intel and CoreWeave are the only names that I was looking at. Let's check out Richtech Robotic. We had a nice little look there today. Was up to 470 as we reported that news right away at 8 a.m. for you. And now back down, looking like it wants to get just a little bit lower, man. Apple's gone. That's too bad. What are we supposed to do about it? Not much. GameStop right here. You know, again, another Burry name, down a little bit there. Not a great movement into the downside, but it's still really It's too bad because we talked about this name at 20 bucks, how nice that was. You're up now 20% from there, coming right back into 23.50 for GameStop. Not horrible, man. This the 200 period on a 5-minute chart, not bad. If we could take 23.60 back to the upside, we can have a look there. But it's Apple that's gone, man. We had an opportunity to buy the dip there. We didn't do it. So yesterday's trade was Apple long. We were already in it by this time, and it was fantastic. And there it goes again. Huge move upside for Apple.
Yeah, Apple looking good, but the Nasdaq starting to make a turn. Gonna have to get away from the first look on Rivian because Rivian has already made yesterday's low. So this EV name not looking very strong. But look, the Nasdaq just popped. It was popping. We were above VWAP and looking like it was trying to break. Instead, now we're holding back underneath or at overnight low. So still an inside range for the overall market. I am going to slide to VWAP, cancel first, then put another order. Going to slide to VWAP here on Rivian as, here we go. Cancel first. A little slow cancel there. If it gets into VWAP, then we'll just short that pop. It gave this to you yesterday, and you were able to be in it all day long for sure. As mentioned, silver not doing too much, but on the back burner for me is going to be looking at Bitcoin today, which is chilling at 88.25. And last I checked, that's underneath 90, and when we're under 90, I kind of like it to the south side. So yesterday's tops, if we get an inside kind of day, support to resistance at 50.25. Gonna have to put this on the back burner if silver doesn't start moving.
All right, we have a new position right here. First one for me is the TQQs. We'll just go short now. I don't know if this is going to be the right play, but for right now, starting to break underneath. We're underneath VWAP. This is looking like a decent opportunity to get a little bit lower. Of course, we have Fed tomorrow, so we have to be very, very careful with what our opinions are there with respect to what the stock may or may do, the Nasdaq may or may do. So we'll take a little bid out right at this low of the day here of 83. We'll see if we can grab that. That's where I'm bidding right now, 83. So one more penny down, we can get that one. Short 93. So let's see how this breakdown begins and ends for us. So 56.20 is where we'll stop out. That was sort of that little high tick that we just made there, and a level that was made just after 8 a.m. So we'll see. There it is. There's our fill. So our first trade is a good one there on the TQs. Let's see if we can continue to run this name a little lower. Into 55.50 would sort of be an area for me to look at. So I think that's going to be our next little spot there. 55.60 or change. And then averaging it up there. It might... Look, I really like Intel. I really like Apple today to the long side, and I like CoreWeave. Other than that, not really able to find too many other ideas. So here comes Apple pulling back in, but we've got the doozy right now with the short on the TQQ. So we'll go back to the futures and find out what's going on there. So far, so good here with our NASDAQ short.
Yeah, great look over there. And I see a lot of people mentioning USAR in the chat.
Okay.
Make sure you type in that $ like everyone is doing. Oh, USAR. As this one is, you'll see it's breaking out some highs here on huge volume off of the open. Just check out not 30, 31.50 looks like a big level for USAR. Didn't really see a catalyst for this one this morning, but it is absolutely flying. But the market is heading downside in a big way. Microsoft doesn't seem to care. Microsoft just made a fresh high as everything else is absolutely tanking. Intel for me was a short at 45, but it's not getting up to 45. So we're not going to be able to grab that. Have to move to VWAP. If I'm looking pop and fade, it never got anywhere close to our levels, so I'm just going to pop into the volume weighted average price in here. But USAR going ham. Microsoft bucking the trend in a huge way to the upside relative to the overall market. Apple still kind of languishing, and as I said, I want IBIT now. If we're not going to be able to get some of the others, IBIT just breaking in through VWAP as we speak. So I'm going to slide the VWAP there as well. Still looking short on Intel, still looking short on IBIT, and finally silver starting to move. I find it hard to believe silver is going to be the most volatile thing here in the market. It's starting to break trend. If it can get through and hold above 100, that's that key over under.
Okay, I mean, we're acting like we've done this before because we have. Here goes the market to the downside. So there it goes, man. This is what we talked about. We like the break lower. We had told you guys sort of looking at the longer term chart here, longer frames, and that was 30 minutes or so. Got us back into this sort of top level there. So with earnings coming and the Fed tomorrow, let's just see if the washout does happen. And I don't think we're going to get necessarily washed out. If we can get, I mean, we're right back to where, I mean, this is already, We've made the day already, but it doesn't matter. We're going to look here to see what's going on because this little area could be a buy zone. So we just said like this 55.50 and then maybe 55 being, near the lows there. So we'll take another, there we go. We just got, wow, this is starting to extend out, man. We just got some 60s, which is real nice. And then we were talking about, okay, let's just put a 50 fill. I still have like 75% of this, so shout out to everybody that's trading here with me. And we'll see if we can continue to make a push on this name. As we get to the downside, it's going to be hard for me, obviously, to go long Apple and go short on the Nasdaq, but Apple is really the long that I like. And we just dipped right into VWAP again into 259. So that would have been a great little looker there to get long back on Apple. And is UNH still falling down? Yes, it is. Wow, UNH, man, going to hit down 20% right now. That's a pretty bad trade there for UNH today. Just hit the short on earnings, and let's see if the other earnings name is going the other way with General Motors. No, not really.
No.
Pretty flat to start the day there with GM. We were not able to. And what's up, Adara? How are you doing? Let me welcome in Adara for the first time today. Hey, Miss Adara, how are you?
Hi, I was not expecting to be welcomed at this time. I'm great. How are you?
Hey, no problem. I'm doing pretty good. We're both.
I was listening to some Drake this morning, so I got to shout you out for that.
Is he?
But yeah, like 2023 Drake.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's the
Kinda
biggest.
random.
Yeah, he's the biggest hit maker in the last 20 years. I don't think it's even close. But what song was that? Were you giving?
I was listening to the ones from the scary hours of the
Okay.
To my dogs or whatever. But I was listening. Red Button is good. I really like the Shoe Fits. Letter to my or something to my brother. Yeah, those ones. Just those three.
I wanted to ask you about Reddit. What's going on with
Oh,
that?
I
some
messaged
weird
Neil
stuff
because
going
Neil
on with
messaged me
Reddit.
about this, and I messaged him earlier. I actually mentioned this on the midday. It did not move at all when this came out, but people are talking on social media. Apparently, some metric shows that now when you go on, like I guess to the AI searches, when you search on Google, the results are now coming from YouTube more than Reddit. Reddit used to be the #1 source. Now apparently it's YouTube. This is, as far as I can tell, just speculation, again, stemming from one report that's been circulating on the internet. So yeah, that's my spiel. I'll let you guys go back to trading, but I also want to mention at 10 a.m. we have CB Consumer Confidence.
There we go. All right, thanks, Adara. Yeah, that's why it's always good to give a
Yeah,
call
it's
to
a
Adara,
little speculation.
see what's going on.
It seems
over
like
there.
there was a few other things that people were talking about online with regards to Reddit, with some insider selling and blah blah blah. But down 9% seemed like a heck of a lot too much.
bounce up.
It seemed like way too much for me. GameStop's trying to double bottom in here. So 23.5 was, if we're not going to break 25, 23.5 was the level we're looking for. It already bounced once. It's looking to hold that one again. Once we get a 3-minute closing above, that'll actually give me an entry there. Pretty much everything is trying to bounce heavily with the exception of this and maybe even Intel and NVIDIA that I'm watching. So the first one might end up being this GME if it can get through this 23.50 area. Just want to double check my Rivian orders because Rivian, it's already at 15.4.
15s, oh my.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, if Rivian gets a little bit too close to the 15 even spot, that support level, then it's a long off the 200 period moving average on the daily. So I don't want to get too far away from, I like the short, but I'm not going to chase it all the way to where we think the bounce zone is going to be on Rivian. That stock's been getting hammered recently. Kind of under the radar as well, too. Because Tesla every single day is moving way, way more.
Oh man, I canceled my Intel bid there, and it went exactly into our bid there on Intel. Went right into 43, and I canceled it, which was crazy because I was going long. That's too bad. All right, here comes Intel here on a day 3 play. I'd sort of thought I liked the 43 area there for some kind of support. It banged it out right there, man. That's crazy. I was bidding 43.15s, and we should have been long there on Intel, but I did pull it right there. We do have our first GITS, is our first circuit breaker halt right now. So there goes GITS right here, GITS, up from start of the day at $2, gets to $2.90 here on circuit breaker. GITS, something to look out for there as well. And this is another name, BATL. I think we've seen this name on our Battalion Oil. They also just halted as well, but there looks like they're halted to the downside there, BATL. So GITS and BATL, both with halts right now. Micron, we said that, watch out for that 412. That's basically exactly what wound up happening there. It goes all the way up into, where's my mouse? Never a good thing to can't get your cursor over. There's 412 right there. Hit it. back in there on Micron news about new production plants opening up their demand. They cannot keep the orders away from them. I mean, Micron continues to produce and produce well for stocks, for shareholders, as well as the industry. So we'll see if Micron can continue to hold out there. All right, BATL just resumes right now. So BATL now
it's battling.
Yeah, it's battling with itself. Down to $2.50 Battalion Oil. No idea the name, but we did get a reload. So there it is. We'll see if we can get that. Here's my reloaded thing on the Nasdaq. So we do have a lot more shares now as we reload, and we'll start to bid it out here in the mid 70s again. We just took it off the 200 period, reloaded on the short there for the Nasdaq. Let's see if it continues to work out here. So that's what I'm in right now.
Yeah, we just got the bounce off the higher low in GMEs. It's trying to get into the volume weighted average price. Look, obviously it's not going to be a breakout play today, but if we can play it from our support zone into the prior low, that'll be the first stop on GME. Here comes Intel into VWAP.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it for a 45 fade. Obviously, without getting up there, we'll see if we can fade it off of volume weighted average price. So it's getting pretty close on Intel as well. I'm going to try to get into the 70s here to slide in. As overall, like NVIDIA just went red, so I'm looking at the chips. Like, yeah, sure, Intel's up 2.5%, but most of the chip action's downside. There's NVIDIA, low of day, heading lower. AMD is doing what Intel is doing, which is bouncing and coming back into the volume weighted average price on its own. So you are still looking weak in pretty much everything that isn't memory, and even that's starting to roll over, as Micron could be losing the bid here. Yeah, once that happens, I think you're in a world of hurt. iBit still, Bitcoin's still not doing much either, but it's still falling like an absolute rock. Let's go to Adara, first update for news.
Keep an eye here on BAER. This is Bridger Aerospace Group. There's an account on X basically saying that apparently yesterday the CEO of BAER hinted that the company would get some upcoming work with the Department of Defense. So basically just social media speculation here, but potential upcoming work with the Department of Defense for BAER. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks Sarah, for all of that. All right, well, Marvell went for a dip down there and came right back, so we might have missed an opportunity to buy some strength or some weakness in Marvell there. Turns into strength. Straight downside right off the jump there. Was up about 2% or so, up to $83, and then boom, right back into yesterday's close of $81.50. So that should have been something that we might have missed an opportunity to get Marvell right back into some of those lows. So we'll see what's going on there. Another earnings, not that Marvell was not a earnings report. Boeing was, though, and yeah, not much going on. I don't really like to trade, other than Intel. We really traded that one on day of. I mean, Intel has been a complete dumpster fire. But yeah, Boeing, not really trading it today, but you know, it looks like it wants to hold out 243 and change there. Okay, here we go, just a little bit lower now. We'll see if that's going on. All right, Amazon, Micron, yeah, QBTS here, a Citron research report on QBTS. I don't think these guys are going to do short reports.
There was another story on the Q.
Yeah, there was. It was on our watch list, right? So
basically, they did this study with another company and Anduril. I think Anduril is the bigger one to remember, and I guess just really strong results for one of their quantum tests. It's very jargon heavy. You can check it out on our Trader TV Live watch list.
Okay. No, and just for QBTS, it is worth mentioning how it lost to 50 and has been downward trending. I still think this stock is headed to 22. Shout out to Will the Thrill Clark. Love that player. No, I wouldn't. I looked at that story this morning. I was like, yeah, I don't like the long, even with a positive catalyst, until we test that 22. All right, GameStop, you cannot seem to break to VWAP. It got to 50s, 23.5 that we're looking for. So our stop is at prior bar, which is about 8 cents worth of risk, but it cannot get through the 70s. So effectively, like, it's gone 20 pennies, risking 8. It just doesn't want to seem to go any further, at least for now. Because it's downward trending, a reload here is not automatic. So if it breaks this prior bar, I'm just going to get out, look for the next opportunity. Who knows where that might be. Did not get filled in Intel. Intel was bouncing nicely there off the lows. I know you're looking at the lows on Intel. I think I just I missed my order by like 2 cents here in front of 70s. So I'm sitting at 68, just trying to pick it up in front of the volume weighted average price. Didn't really get the fill. Slide it by a couple of cents and see if we can't get into this one. Just short the lower high right now. You mentioned a couple of halts, but they're very small low floaters. that XHLD. Just to throw it up for you guys, this first one that's halted, this went back to Intel, has done less than 1 million in volume. This XHLD up 48%. Obviously, it's a circuit breaker, but like I said, less than 1 million shares worth of volume is not going to be any good for a day trader. So, whoops, that's not where I wanted to go. We wanted to go back over to GameStop because no reload on GME. We just get out just under the break-even spot, and we'll look for another opportunity. This one's still trending down. So we got the first bounce, went in our favor about a point, but then had to stop out that prior bar. If it breaks trend, we'll jump in again.
All right, quickly we'll do this. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3x daily levered ETFs featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term returns with market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the market. Please read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing and educate yourself on their products. A good short-term product, as they mentioned there, to manage the triple levered if you're looking for a little bit more risk exposure and a hedge against your US dollar. Well, Richtech Robotics right here, 25 million shares already, man. It's only 950. Huge move to the downside, to be honest with you. I mean, 470 down to 440. You're giving back pretty much the whole move. Where we started was 390 or so. Adair, story on Richtech again when you get a second. Nice upside move up to 480, back into $4 right there. Something about Microsoft, I remember there. We talked about this earlier. Trying to hold out this space. Go ahead, Mara.
Hands-on collaboration with Microsoft through Microsoft AI Co-Innovation Labs to jointly develop, deploy agentic AI capabilities. Is just robotics, agentic AI stuff from Microsoft.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, look, the right partner, the right space, the right name, right? I mean, so I'm a little bit surprised at this move back in, but there it comes right into the 50-period moving average. I think it's a buy down here, man, 370, 380. All of that talk makes a lot of sense to me. So, MU's going to hit 412 again. Look at this move up in the Nasdaq. We've just been sort of sitting here waiting to get really 5610s, man. We're going to get stopped out at 5620, just trying to be patient. You could get more right now. Boat's kind of full. We're full for this level. We'll take another piece right here because maybe we're wrong on this. I mean, my number one play was Apple to the long side, and that is just like
trending higher.
Much, much higher there for Apple. So, all right, we can look at some silver, but here we go. RDW.
There's a few super chats here. Brent Roth, look at RDW, Redwire. Last week it was definitely a thing. Today, hate to tell you, it's looking like it could be a reversal play on RDW. False breakout of the open after a gap up. Although the good news is it's at the 200 period. So if you start from the outside in, bounce off of 1070 to 11, looking pretty good, but it's already a fail of the top. So it's a fail of the top and pulling all the way back in. If it closes underneath 13, it's a day trade. I'm usually thinking short. Like I did not pay for locates. I just paid for locates on USAR for a similar setup, is just looking for things that are starting to set up. And USAR, which was one of the biggest runners this morning, at one point anyways, it was looking pretty good. It also failed a lower high. So fails a breakout there, also fails a breakout here. If this loses the bid and starts to fill the gap, USAR looks like a short. So Redwire, I'm going to stay away from that one. If it holds under VWAP, I'd almost think short. We have another super chat, made 3 bands short in the NQ this morning. Great call. Party is from Party YYP. Great call, Katina Man.
Ooh, okay, I'll take that.
Also, what are your thoughts on NVIDIA leading up to earnings? Much love to the crew. Much love to you. Party YP.
Ooh, Party YP. I mean, I'm pretty nervous, for the NVIDIA earnings. We talked about, I thought that, this year I'm trying to stay away from Mag 7 names. I'm not trying to dip by anything or anything like that. I'd rather get involved in some of these industrial names, healthcare, different spaces like that. So for me on NVIDIA, I am pretty, I wouldn't say nervous. I mean, I have a boat of those, and it's just a matter of waiting shares and just a matter of waiting to see where the next shoe is to drop. And hey, look, if it rips up from here, great. But NVIDIA, just quickly, because because you did super chat that. We're still in this futures trade, which is, my net is now like flat on the day. So, if this continues to rip up, then we will take the L on that. Oh, first of all, I want to look at silver, but what I want to tell you about NVIDIA is this. Like, I don't think you're alone wondering what's going to happen with NVIDIA. I mean, you just go all the way back, basically, to July. Where it hasn't been much, right? We had some good earnings spikes. We had some negative catalysts to the downside on China, on imports, export rules, things like that. But, they still got to sort out that whole CHIPS Act and everything. We saw Intel get hit to the downside. So, yeah, I'm a little cautious on, NVIDIA here. So, yeah, I would say there it is. So the futures do run the high right there. So we were going to wait for 56.50. So now here we go, man. Wow. Damn it. That's too bad because we did have some good feels about the short early. I mean, that super chat was the dude made 3K. So that was a great call, but I guess holding on and averaging in, not a great call. An instant winner there for the Nasdaq and then popped right back up. And, again, the trade of the day should, for me, should be Apple. We should have just stood there and took some VWAP dip buys there, but we didn't. So there goes Apple to the upside. And red on the futures, but well in the right mind frame there for the amount of shares short. So we were short at 01s or 02s by the time it was all said and done. So it sucks to lose that 20 cents, but there it goes, man. Let's go market to the upside. Doesn't seem like it wants to stop anytime soon here. So
yeah, definitely led by some of the Mag 7, including Apple. Their control escape. Trend finally broke on JP Morgan on the 4-hour chart. You grabbed quite a bit at 297. Trump can sue all he likes. We like the stock. I agree with you on the last 2 points. I haven't looked at that chart today for sure, but I definitely agree with you. JP Morgan and the major banks, you usually can't go wrong when people are afraid of the banks buying the dips. That's just how it is. So I'm with you on that. I do prefer Morgan Stanley, though. I am buying dips in you can go Goldman if you like, but Morgan and Goldman, I like the trading aspect. I like the deal aspect. We're getting the IPO market back as well. Where do we see support on USAR? That's my bad.
Nowhere.
Because it's not to say that I don't see it anywhere. When I was talking about it sort of failing the breakout trade and looking for the short, like it's at pretty decent support as we speak. Like, but this line breaks, I think you got room to 22. So I just paid for low case to look at this VWAP short of 27, or if it just breaks down altogether, look for like a 25 breaking 22. But it's pretty much at the support line as we speak. So the only position for me now is Intel, which got to VWAP. So thanks for the super chat, Ja. We always got to figure out what Ja wants and what Ja needs, because Ja Rule's opinion is by far the most important thing.
One of the most important
out there. Everyone needs to know, what does Ja think about it? What does Ja think about tariffs?
I mean, he told everyone to hold Bitcoin like at 10 grand. I mean, this Ja Rule is the richest man in the world right now.
Did he really?
Ja Rule?
Was it?
That's
He
what
said
he's famous for.
No,
I don't know what the price was. It might have been under 10 grand.
Okay.
I don't know.
I didn't know if it was that.
You guys tell me. I mean, you can ask ChatGPT that thing. But yeah, Ja Rule, very famous for.
Dollar says he didn't.
His Bitcoin. No, of course not. He didn't hold. He probably wasn't ever even in it. But okay. We're going to watch out for that level that we wrote down here, 56.50 on the TQs. Start a small little short here. See if we can make a little bit back. Watching out for 56.50, just because it has been the weekly high, and I actually want to try to follow a little bit of the idea that we had earlier, and that was trying to short this high. We got a little bit carried away trying to short VWAP right into the day's high, but that did not work out for us. So we'll try it again against 56.50, and if we wind up losing it, at least it was at our level this time, and we'll stay a little disciplined and get up there. You might have just saw me flash the silver chart up because I think this is a short, right? I mean, yesterday we saw it really fall out there, and you guys know I was trading this yesterday. We actually did quite well on silver, and then it dropped down, and I wasn't here in the afternoon, but $98 right there. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but that we've already made that base, and then when we sort of tanked through it, that low break. I mean, it's like why we went long here at $100.50. That was the pre-market level, and look how good like that long worked out for $6. And so right now, I don't know if the $6 move is downside. I mean, the momentum is upside these days, but right there, that could spark, a move down. You got the VWAP now, you got everything starting to push lower here. I like silver for a short, and it looks like, overnight there, we did touch it, and this is not even overnight. This just goes to 5 o'clock, but did touch $94 on SLV. SLV yesterday did 38 billion notional. So all the shares combined, 38 billion. There's only 55 billion in the whole fund. So definitely silver catching the attention of investors.
Record volume yesterday.
Yeah, record. Yeah,
Pretty
that's
sure
what
it
I'm
was.
saying,
Yeah, it was
record. Yeah, most likely record volume yesterday. So on SLV, well, we can look that up, but it must have been huge move up of 10% and then basically a drop of 10%. So yeah, SLV. Oh,
my man.
Ooh, Randy. Thank you, Randy, for that. All right. What's the next project you're working on here, Randy? What's going on? Oh, bacon. Okay. All about that.
That's the project.
Yeah. Project. No.
Oh, I already had
all
some.
right,
Thanks.
Okay, no Project Bacon over here. Hey, Randy. You can see my
Project.
screens. You can see my screens there behind.
Project Short Rivian is the.
There it is, right
is
there.
right now
yeah.
what the market's doing.
Project Short Rivian.
It's down.
Oh wow,
it's
another
down
3-4
points today. This is.
And whoever likes Rivian stock is crazy.
I'm slapping the fail for not being short this. Well, I think the dip is dipping to the support level before we've gotten the short, which is the 200 period moving average here at about 1470-ish, 14.5 to 1470. But you got to break 15 first. There was one shot right away if you just shorted blindly at VWAP and yesterday's low. But that's not.
Yeah, I know it's nasty.
No, yeah, like it's looking nasty on Rivian. But it's looking much nicer if you're paying attention to NVIDIA now green. Apple was already green. The market's now going green. The good news is, at least for myself, like the reload in Intel, it didn't get the reload in Intel, but it's still trending lower. I don't love the fact that the market's blowing out while we're in a short and it's not anywhere near the top. Like I don't have this 44 area. It never got up to 45. So the VWAP short, I'll try reloading one more time. But if it ends up an inside move on Intel, that's fine. We'll go scalp trade like we did on GameStop. It's like you said, the market absolutely blasting. We talked about Google potentially breaking 340. By the way, that is not anywhere close on Google. It's strong, but it's not strong enough to make that breakout yet. Let's go to Adara, 10 o'clock. We've got happening now in numbers.
30 seconds to CB consumer confidence forecast 91, previous 89.1. We'll also get Richmond Fed composite index -5 versus -7 previous here. Let's take a look, and as we wait for these numbers, I do want to mention a headline from AMZN, reportedly going to be closing its Amazon Go and Amazon Fresh physical stores. So nothing major, but just some Amazon store closures. Again, 5 seconds until CB consumer confidence 91 forecast. Richmond Fed comp index -5 forecast. CB consumer confidence lower than expected, 84.5 versus that forecast of 91. So well below expectations here for that CB consumer confidence. I'm not seeing the Richmond Fed print yet. Those usually actually come out a little bit before that 10 a.m., but we'll take a look back and we'll see if we have those. Market not reacting too much to this, at least for now, to this lower than expected CB consumer confidence print. Earnings really were, I guess, the word of the day today. UNH did have earnings, but it also reacted on another catalyst. We did have the Trump administration proposing lower than expected Medicare insurer rates. Now, this comes after Wall Street Journal reported this development. These stocks drop basically post-market on this. Then we get UNH missing sales and guiding a sales decline for the year. So rough look there for UnitedHealth. We have GLW, which is not reacting to any weakness in the market or any other stocks. This is an earnings play. It's not an earnings play is what I mean to say. But they did announce alongside Meta a $6 billion multi-year deal through which Meta will be buying fibers or cables here from GLW to help with their AI data centers. So great look here for GLW. Other earnings plays on watch. Again, GLW is not one, but you do have the likes of Boeing, UPS, UNP, RTX, NOC, so tons of day one earnings on watch, AAL and JBlue as well. So a lot of these airline plays, definitely tons to look at this morning, that is for sure. So make sure to like and subscribe and stay with us. I'm gonna see if we did get that Richmond Fed number before I send you back. Yeah, so it comes at -6, a little bit lower than that -5 estimate. Again, CB consumer confidence well below estimates at 84.5. Back to you.
All right, we got a new position here. We don't trade it that often, and we'll get about to fall out. We got JP Morgan. We got some out there. We only got a third out at 300 or some. We got a little bit higher than that as well, 305 or so on this. But we're just going to lose it if it breaks 50. Pretty much, again, if this breaks 50, it'll be like a flat trade again. I was just buying it. It did fall. There it comes. All right, see ya. It did fall in basically into this little loop here of the 200 period moving average, but we just gave it up there, breaking through 50. So too bad I didn't even really get to explain the trade. It was in and then it was out right there pretty quickly on JP Morgan. So yeah, now down 0.48, and I was looking at that because Robinhood was making a little bit of a move down as well, trying to break through that 107 mark there for Robinhood. I mean, Robinhood went all the way to 109, all the way back in, like boom, boom, like down $2 right into those levels. I wonder if that JP Morgan 50 level, I mean, the spread is what it is right now, so you got to be careful. Okay, let's not go back into it, but I feel like we were only long at, I think it was 65 or something there on JP Morgan. So unfortunately, we do get stopped out and we do get a fill there at 40s to stop us out. But yeah, JP Morgan interesting at these levels. Potentially a good little long hold that we're bouncing off this 50 or this 200 period on the 5-minute chart. But yeah, not doing well. We know SoFi is just a couple days away as well. Got some questions about that earlier. SoFi down 1% today.
Yikes.
And Tesla looks like it's the one that's dripping a little lower here. 435, 432. Oh, actually, they found a base.
Chips are looking strong again.
Chips are, okay.
NVIDIA is about to break the high of the day. Intel just did a topping tail. Well, we'll see if it's a topping tail. It is a topping tail, but it might break that top. If it does, I'm going to be out. So we went 1 for 2 on Intel there, but even it's starting to go. I'll jump back into this if we lose VWAP again. I don't mind something to the south side if the market is doing this and we're still putting in lower highs. But as far as a reload, it has to make a lower high. Let this sucker calm down. At NVIDIA at the high of the day. The Nasdaq is obviously cruising through the high of the day. For those of you out there that are still loving on Micron, it did break. It has not broken the high. 412, still the barrier for Micron. It is setting up. I said if it gets to this level, I'm looking for a mean reversion off the high. Well, you've got a trend now to follow. I'd feel way better about this if it actually ran the top. Like I prefer a reversal trade where it actually blows out the top because then there's actually people long on the 412 break, and then you get a better scalp trade into the volume weighted average price. But for now, this market's looking incredibly strong. GameStop maybe not so much. And as far as, well, we talked about some of the small cappers in there. One of them was Redwire. That's at $14 and continuing to break higher, as you guys can see here. Kind of a big one. USAR is the one that's on my mind, and unfortunately, it's the other direction. It finally broke the low of the day and challenged 25. So bouncing off at 25 even, almost exactly 25 even. I'm going to play this bounce. I'd rather not be short on a break of 25 when I think your risk is to 26. So I'm going to play this in the middle, giving myself to 26. That way, if 25 breaks, I'm in position and not taking like egregious slippage, trying to cash that short. I just do not like this reversal on USAR and want to be involved in this little mini breakdown. Ooh, GameStop just retested the low for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that GameStop trade for sure, as there's been some talk about Michael Burry and Ryan Cohen and all that kind of nice stuff about GameStop. Okay, here we go, man. I mean, we waited for our position to hit. Maybe it's, let's put on a little bit more here. We'll average down a little bit on the TQs. We, waited for our price. We wrote down 56.50. That's exactly what's coming in right now. So far, so good on this one. Let's put a little bit of a bid out here into the 20s again, and then we'll see if we can hold into this 21 period moving average. Nice push down in right now. Give me that. I'm bidding 26s. Bidding 20, there it is. So there it goes, man. Nice flush now for the TQs. So good trade there off of our posted price of 56.50 again. We just talked about this level rate. Yeah, we will do that, Fabian, in a second. We talked about this level 56.50, and it looks like so far so good on that hold. So make back a little bit of what we lost so far there on the TQs, and see if we can't get a bigger winner than what we currently have on with the Nasdaq. What's up, Adara?
More details on this Amazon story that I mentioned with regards to its store. So AMZN expanding its same-day delivery services for fresh groceries to additional communities in 2026. They're going to be opening more than 100 new Whole Foods Market stores over the next few years, but they will also be closing their Amazon Go and Amazon Fresh physical stores. Now, those stores will be converted, at least some of them, to Whole Foods Market stores. So again, just some context there with that AMZN grocery segment. Yes, they are closing some stores, but they're also converting some of them, and they're also making wider changes to that sector. Back to you.
Yeah, I actually had missed that story, not gonna lie there, so thank you for letting us know. Appreciated. Well, we're back into GME, like I said. The market's starting to come back in. Let it put a higher low in is kind of the play. Like if it's gonna dance, let it run the low, then put in a higher low. That's what we did the last time on our entry point. It doesn't mean it's gonna work, but it's just a little confirmation that it's got a better bottom. on it as we speak. But if it breaks that 20, it's now 23.30. If it breaks 23.30, then I'm going to be out of this one, and we're in at 36 here. Again, looking for that VWAP push here on GME. If it gets to VWAP, I want to be out and looking for another long out and about and above. Because the original idea, well, actually, the idea I like better was if it had broken out 25. Instead, it's just a pull back into prior support or resistance here on the daily for potential support. So GameStop trying to go. USAR, kind of the same thing happening over in that stock as before, bouncing off a 25 even for USAR. It just doesn't get anywhere near that 26, and it might re-break the low. So if it's going to break the low without picking me up, I'll just maybe take the break for a little bit less. But I would prefer if I had gotten it in front of 26 instead of taking this break. USAR down 6% now, after being up 10.
Yeah.
Just to put it into perspective, like it was up over 10%.
Okay, we have another position on. We're going to go short here on PLTR again, making a move back into 169. Again, a pretty dangerous play, but here's our 200 period moving average, right back in. I mean, maybe 170 is a better short, but we've already traveled quite nicely here today. It started with a downside push, very similar to Tesla, made its move all the way back up to the upside. So we'll short that bump right now and see if we can withstand some of this 169 pressure there. And if we can get back into the 200, that's 168. So let's put a bid down there at 168. I know it's been a little bit of a tough sled here today, but we'll put a bid down here, 168 in change now for 25% and see if we can't work our magic on Palantir. And by working our magic, we just sit there and wait to see if we get the fills. And then there's 169. So that'll be our breakout there. I'm not going to give it these top wicks. This is at 8 a.m. So it's like, we had some dark pool areas there. I just want to see if there is, if the market can pull back just a little bit there, then we should have a downside. So there, now we're done with this name right now. If we lose this, it'll be, well, we'll lose 40 cents, give it a little bit of slippage, 45, 50 cents maybe on Palantir. Well worth it if it does break higher. But yeah, this Nasdaq continues to climb upside here. So if the market is a long, which I guess it is, it's too bad because we were really thinking long Apple and we missed out on that trade. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with Palantir. I should have just stuck with Apple and played dips really, but every day is a little different. There's Eli Lilly 0.74 right now, so that's going to be the one red stock here in the health technology space. I was saying, to get a little diversified, look at some of the industrial names there as well. Consumer, producer manufacturing, well cooking here over the last little while. Caterpillar, AMAT, LRCX, Lam, all those names. Lam is ASML is the other name I'm looking for. Starting to go there as well. Looks like
report tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, man. Palantir just took it off there through 169. So nice, bad trade, but nice move on Palantir there. Netflix is a weird one, man. Down 1.5% today. What's up with that? We'll have to wait to see if Netflix can finally find that base. I don't know, man, if that's going to be a thing or not. Google and Microsoft right here leading the way. And then I mentioned, I don't know, where's Apple? There's Apple. So, and we'll go back. We'll get some trading going on in a second. But there's Apple, NVIDIA, Broadcom, Micron. So Micron, what's the price of Micron? $409. So that looks like it's trying to take out that 412 high as well. Boeing on earnings down 3%. That could be a good name to pick up. They've been really operating quite well. And then we've really liked the Intel long, but it's not doing too much today. 43.80. We did have the bid down there at 43 that we had missed on Intel. So, all right, Palantir, you take it off, take me out. And then come right back in. So no surprise there as, Palantir doing me a little dirty right there. But we got out actually a pretty good price. 169, looks like 02s. Now you fall, Palantir. Come on, yeah. 169.03 is what we wind up getting there on PLTR. Yeah, small hit, but didn't need to take it, it looks like. Let's see what happens there. Just levitated 30 cents. Yeah, so stay away from Palantir. Like, we were just like, oh, man, and then now it's 40 cents higher than where it just was. So, the wicks are real on this name, man. These are actual prices. So in 1 minute, you go from 50s back up to O's, and right there, you can blast it into 20s as well. So just be careful with any of your Palantir trades. It's looking quite interesting up here near the high side of 169. And then we just hold out for our Qs and see what winds up happening here as the move back into the, that was a good trade there, but move back into the 21 period right now would be another out for me. So let's put some more shares there. Get out if it does move its way lower.
And speaking of moving its way lower, that is no longer happening on Richtech Robotics. It's back above VWAP, so don't like these things when they make a high in the pre-market and can't hold a volume-weighted average price. Well, it made a high in the pre-market, but at least now it's holding the volume-weighted average price. So back on the radar. Look, if we're going to close here above prior lows, that's 444 on the 3-minute. This is a 3-minute chart. I want us breaking out here with a stop there, but we got a super chat to get to, and that is. Oh, I can throw it up if we don't have it there. Andre, super chat. It's going to be easy peasy as usual. You got puts on UNH. Yuck. Oh, it's David. Sorry, but not easy peasy. It's easy peasy, but from David Tretsiak. I just thought the email might have been easy peasy. Dave's only trade idea of the week. Research, patience, execute your trade. Risk management, take IQ test 1 time a week if above 85 or less. 110, don't trade. Less is more is more. Hard community. I'm guessing like maybe that's like if you're not you take the test just to see that like your brain's in the right spot, like kind of an idea like maybe I didn't get enough sleep, like that kind of a thing. I don't know if you need to take an IQ test for that. You get a good sense of yourself in the mornings, but whatever works for you. And look, UNH puts absolutely printing. That stock it's a dumpster fire this morning. But it's been a dumpster fire for quite some time, and good look there. It's barely holding the bid as we speak. Yeah, we'll just come to the chart. We'll show you this on UNH. When we talked about it at pre-market, I'm like, as long as it can hold the 300, it goes right to 300. And this is what's annoying. I didn't put this one on my notes, so this wasn't one of the 4 stocks I was watching. But it did go to exactly 300 and dipped. But it has not broken this low at 282. So this could be an SSR bounce inbound that gets to VWAP here. If it can do that, maybe there's a relief rally or a dead cat bounce here in UNH, but it'll be the first one of the day for sure. The daily chart looks absolutely nasty on them. All right, GameStop's trying to run to VWAP again. It's the only one that worked well, like the first time through. Now it's holding a higher low again, playing into VWAP, and we'll see if it can press higher after that. So this. RR going to be in play. USAR is still threatening this break, but it hasn't broken. So you're holding on for. I didn't get filled on USAR. Oh, don't tell me do we not have locates on this?
Which stock was it?
Checked.
USAR.
No, maybe? We do have locates.
Oh, we do. Okay.
I just did not get the break. All right, I'll see if I can get picked up here. We do have locates. I just double checked here with an offer. So I'm trying to get this underneath that 25 break. USAR now down 7% and continuing to go. It's also a dumpster fire.
Yeah, we are getting ready to hopefully make some moves lower here. Let's check out silver market just real quickly here before we go on. Yeah, there it goes, man. We talked about that short at 98. That was the play there. Yesterday we had the $100.50 break long on silver. That was the break short right there. Sort of some pre-market levels. Once we came in, you really represented VWAP really well, man. Hits it, dumps it, and then now just continues to go lower on SLV. It's not even a huge move, man. Down 2% right here. Here's a medical device company to keep an eye on. It's Enview Medical, ticker FEED, F-E-E-D. The company designs and markets a guided feeding tube platform for hospitals across the U.S. The majority of hospitals do this procedure blindly, leading to unavoidable injuries from misplacements. Think of this platform as a GPS for feeding tube placement, which can improve patient safety and streamline how care teams work. What stands out to me is the growing appetite for this platform throughout the U.S. hospitals and how their tech fits right into clinical needs. Today they are already in 38 hospitals. As hospitals push for safer, more efficient solutions, Enview looks like a company building scalable technology with real-world demand behind it. Definitely one to watch. That is ticker FEED, Enview. So thank you to them, new sponsor there on the show. All right. Silver, that's too bad. Okay, moving on, friends. JP Morgan, hey-o. That's a nice downside play right there. So, in, out, bang, right there as we break that bottom right there for JP Morgan. No idea why it didn't hold, but it didn't. And now we're starting to get a little lower here, through earnings season for the major banks. But, as we talk about the US dollar over and over again, here it is. It's going lower right now from what I can see. Let me put this chart up right here for you, the DXY. Now, I don't really you know, haven't studied it enough to say like, oh, you know, the Dixie's going down, therefore banks are going down. But this is what's been happening right here to the US dollar today. So it's been absolutely crushed right there as we talk about geopolitical concerns. The Fed decision possibly weighing on this a little bit. I don't know.
Although we're not moving on the Fed decision.
No, Fed uncertainty maybe about who's the next Fed chair. But I think it was just, you know, Davos is now over. I don't know if we have any resolution to Greenland or not, but the US dollar continues to get hit. JP Morgan downside there. You know, we do know that there is a tailwind for multinationals, you know, repatriating some of that money back in. So I could see why that's a beneficiary of this would be Apple, Google, Meta, some of those plays as well. Wow, Apple just fell all the way back in as well. Like, come on, man, Apple just fell. All these names are falling, and I'm sitting here in the futures that continue to go higher. It must be, isn't it an NVIDIA and Microsoft story? I mean,
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
NVIDIA hasn't had a red candle in a while.
Yeah. Well, on the 5 minute, it hasn't had one at all, basically. I mean, we did make a move down to 940. The first 3 candles, my bad, were red. And then, yeah, straight, like just up $3, like punching shorts in the face. What is its more aggressive friend doing here? What is AMD up to right now? Similar, but that's pulling back. So watch out now. Maybe we do get a little bit of an NVIDIA pullback here as AMD starts to pull back. But we've seen the disconnect happening there for a minute. iBit still doing nothing, man. What is going on with crypto these days? I feel like crypto's like gearing up for something big, man. I don't know. Like it's just been barcoded here since November. Like nothing going on in the crypto space since November. Sure, there's been ebbs and flows and there's been highs and lows, but wow, we land at the same spot that we were at about 2 months ago. So nice move there for Bitcoin over the last couple of days, downside. But yeah, back into this level here, 88,000. We'll see if we can hold out here on BTC. But looks like the market just wants to keep pumping higher, man, despite Apple's little pullback there.
Yeah, it's obviously
CoreWeave's been a good name.
Look, the Nasdaq hasn't been like the, hey, everything's gonna go up in the Mag 7 when the Nasdaq is strong, but it does feel like today there's like a little bit of like a passing the baton kind of thing. Like Apple was strong early into NVIDIA weakness, and then NVIDIA catches a little bit of strength when Apple pulls back. All the while, Microsoft's been doing its own set of damage. It's actually bouncing off VWAP. So you've been going from one to the other, but generally speaking, most of it's been strong lately. I'm gonna go back over to USAR, which broke the low, stop at prior bar. Again, I would have loved it if it could have played into 26 before running 25, but I like to take the 25 break and just, again, give it to that prior bar. GameStop's about to get to target, so I think the second trade should be good, and then we'll look for something breaking through VWAP after that. Like, this is still down 1.8%. There's a lot of things going on here, like it rejected $25, so that 25 double top is a bit of a rejection. Like, in this range, effectively, it looks like a short most of the time. So I'll take the bounce play that we got as long as we can get this VWAP. Go over to Adara for, hey, the small cap recap. It's already 10:20, everybody.
Oh, wow.
Keep an eye as well on Ford. It looks like this headline's from about 10, but I just saw it on social media. Now Ford launching a new battery energy storage business. So that's from Ford, or F would be the ticker. If I get more details, I will let you know. But again, it looks like this came out at 10, just circulating now on social media. RDW pushing to the upside. This one with a 25% short float, announcing that they have an up to $151 billion contract for Missile Defense Agency's multi-vendor SHIELD IDIQ. This will help support defense in the homeland. So great look there for RDW. Richtech Robotics. This one, you're going to notice a theme here with these small caps. A lot of them with these collaborative deals. For Richtech, it's going to deal with Microsoft. Microsoft reporting earnings tomorrow. And with this deal with Microsoft, Richtech will be advancing agentic AI in real-world robotics applications. Last but not least, QBTS, this one certainly not at day's highs by any means, but I do think worth discussing this because we've got a couple spikes and a couple different catalysts pre-market. QBTS announcing alongside Anduril and Davidson that they've been collaborating to develop quantum applications for U.S. air and missile defense. Then we get a $10 million 2-year enterprise agreement with a Fortune 100 company. There were a couple other headlines here for QBTS. These two seem to be the biggest. So QBTS also with about a 12.5% short float. RR and RDW all going to be on watch today. Make sure to like and subscribe. Back to you.
Yeah, we were just talking about Ford and GM right there. Ford coming later. Is it this week? It must be. Oh no, not maybe it's not this week. Hold on a second. February 10th. So quite a while away before Ford reports.
Really? I thought it was close.
Yeah, Feb 10. So we got a story to tell there for Ford still before we get into that name. And then General Motors. We are going to get to the super chat in a second, but General Motors up 8% and still climbing. What a stock that appears to be right there. Of course, everyone's favorite car company, General Motors. Oh, Shane's smoking today with Rocket Labs. Okay.
Well, I'm going to hope you're smoking with Rocket Labs. Like if you're short Rocket Labs, then you're in trouble because, as usual, to said moon for Rocket Labs. Still hasn't broken $100. That's going to be one of the most crowded trades that you will see for, I think, day traders looking for it to break that at some point. But yeah, breaking out of this downtrend is, I guess, what you're getting with Rocket Labs. Whoops, so I'm going to zoom on.
I tried to get out of a position and I bought some Rocket Labs right there. That was fun.
Boom. Well, if it's a long, it's probably.
I punched out immediately, but it's okay.
I was going to say, like,
in case someone just saw it come in, that's all.
I was going to say, like, if looking at the chart actually is in a pretty steady upward trend, maybe you get resistance at 87.
That means it'll be my best trade.
It's like literally diddling in the middle here, just trying to put in yesterday's move. So good news would be hold on to this trend and at least get back to where it was yesterday. But the race to 100, I'm not really seeing anything too crazy. But of the small cappers, Richtech, there it is, finally, pulls back, confirms VWAP. So there's your dip and hold of VWAP. Let me drag, there we go. There's your dip and hold VWAP. Now it's going to close above again. So this was what I was waiting for to get into our good friend Richtech Robotics. If it breaks underneath VWAP, then I'm out of it. Well, this wick underneath here is like 430-ish. So I'll give it to that, essentially. So grab some 40s, give it to under the 30 level. And GameStop did get to that VWAP target and reversed. So GameStop, while bouncing a couple of times off our support level, cannot seem to break through the volume-weighted average price yet. So as much as it's holding the low, it's not doing much with that. It gives you like a 1% bounce, and then that is going to be it. So I'm into Richtech. USAR still in the same breakdown trade, and the market's still holding near the top end of the range. Showing some signs of giving it up.
I hope eventually we give this market up. I mean, yeah, so it's funny. What's up to Majid and everybody in the chat there? I was trying to bid out of more, and I'll show you the TQs. It's coming back in a little bit. So I was trying to bid out of some more, and I was called up Rocket Lab there, and we wound up punching long at 40s and out at 40s pretty much. I think we lost about $10 there. So not too much damage. Rocket Lab, nice move there. Higher today. Good call out on that. And this is what we were talking about right there with the Nasdaq. We're short of 47s. Like it went into my best out is 36s or 37s right into here. So let's just hope we do get a push down. I mean, like we were saying, you never know where this market's going to go. So let's just see if we can appreciate the move for now and hopefully a downside move. We are bidding some 40. Oh, I'm bidding right here. I'm bidding at 36s. Okay, there it goes. So nice move down. Now we'll wait for this 50-period moving average to come into play in the 20s. So let's just put a bid right down into there. Let's go 27 for a few shares, and then we'll get out of another 10% and see if we can hold this to the downside. We finally follow our plan. It just took a minute to get there. What we had missed out today was, and again, like, it's like, woe is me, man. This happens every day. I just got to sit on my hands for a minute and wait for some of these trades to come through. Or just follow the plan. Like CoreWeave today, 101 long, right? I mean, there's CoreWeave. It came right into this 200-period moving average, which you guys know I love. That's why it's on the chart. It came into 102. So we could have just adjusted our price a little bit there on CoreWeave because it was at the 200 period, so maybe a missed opportunity there for that one. Intel long at 43, all I can do is slap a fail on me for that because Intel does go right into my level, and unfortunately I canceled those bids, and I don't know why. There's 43. Actually, I do know, there was a reason why I did it. I forget, must have been in something there, it was the other way. So, and then Apple, we missed that one. That's a nice long. And then there's our TQ short at 56.50. So I think like the trade ideas today were fine and working out. So let's just see if we can't turn this into a profitable day, which would have to be the Qs coming back in because we only have this trade here that we're really putting some shares in. and it's blew against us right there. Then we had that nice win there, and we averaged in. Now we're looking for a little bit of a drop. We did not take any money out of JP Morgan today. And then the other name was Palantir, which, yeah, we lost 50 cents, but yeah, I wasn't going to hold for 169 anyways to the top end there. So, yeah, so far so good. We'll be red today, but we're going to wait to see position pending here, of course, with our TQQ friend. So that's what we're waiting on right now, and see what happens now for hopefully a downside push. And we'll wait for Apple. We'll just wait for Apple. If it can come back into already traded VWAP, okay. I already looked at this, and I was like, why is the market so high if Apple's pulling back in? And we saw the story with NVIDIA, and then maybe with Microsoft as well, right, ahead of earnings in the next couple of days.
Yeah, Softy was it.
Oh, Softy's down. Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay,
Not
we'll
anymore.
see. Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, I like these two names.
Could be Meta. No, could not be Meta.
No?
Never mind. Meta is not even close to responsible for any strength you're seeing in the market right now. This is a Mag 7 under VWAP and looking all kinds of weak. Actually, I would argue that Meta's maybe holding you back a little bit. RR just got to, look, it just made the first move. If it gets to 480, to complete the thought, I'm getting out at the highs. The reason for that is look at the daily chart. 1, 2, 3. This would be like a quadruple top on the daily if it gets to that 480. So I'm spotting that 475 zone to try to take this bounce play out. So we got VWAP. It can't go red now. My stop, anytime it does this break to the highs, my stop moves from the prior wick to break even. And if we set up a good trend line, then I can get out on trend, which it looks like it's doing.
Richtech.
Like it's kind of doing it, although it hasn't retested. So looking for that 475 zone on this bad boy. Still crazy that Micron hasn't broken out yet. Like with all the strength in the market,
Really?
it's been all anyone talks about is Micron is the greatest, and obviously memory is so in demand and blah blah blah, and yet this is double topped. You could argue triple topped, and then go to the pre-market, so quadruple top this morning, and no 412 breakout on Micron. I wanted it to break the high, and then look for a mean reversion trade. I'm kind of sticking with that. But if I was looking for the trend break, it's like it happened here and then held the high. So I'm going to slap the fail because if anything, there's the morning trend. There's the trend break. It goes to VWAP once. It goes up again. And it goes to VWAP again. That's twice it's gone to VWAP. And I'm waiting for it to false break the 412 level to take that short. It is what it is. I'm not going to chase it now. I'm kind of made my bed saying I'm waiting for a false break of 412, so I'm just going to wait again for a false break of 412. All right, so Richtech, this is like put up or shut up. Like this move has to get to a test of 475, or I'm going to end up trailing out of it here on RR. Small cappers certainly ruling the day. This could be spicy if it even breaks out above here, but I'll just take the move inside the range.
All right, come on, futures. Hopefully we get a little bit of move. There is a number coming up at 10:30, I believe. Let me just double check what that is. No, nothing on our.
No, I don't think.
The guy just said we had Dallas something coming up, so I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, if Microsoft loses the bid, we should have a downside play right in front of us right now. So let's see if that can continue to go. CRML autonomous drone story right now. That's starting to move lower, I guess. This has been kind of an interesting name. I mean, everybody that jumped on board with the news of Greenland sort of bought near these highs, obviously, near 20 bucks. But, the high is really all the way up here. So there still is some love for CRML, but that is making a move down. We talked about USAR and some of those other names moving around there today, but critical metals, nice downside play. There's a lot of people mentioning a lot of different names in the chat. We do have Move. That was another one for you sort of small cap gap traders there. This was trading yesterday. This is already halted numerous times. And I mean, look at this daily on Move. It's just like move something, get out the way.
Get out the way.
Huge move, man. Yeah, move fish, I think it says, get out the way. When you're fishing, you want to get that big fish. So, but 12.50, huge move up to 30 bucks and halted already 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Moving around right now. That is for sure. And then Big Bear AI, man. This is what happens when you deploy their systems. You make it to the Super Bowl. So shout out to the New England Patriots for using Big Bear AI body scanners, thermal sensors, and whatnot. They also got a deal with the U.S. government to track border controls there, as far as, I think it was called Cargo Steer, was the company that they had purchased last week, where they can scan through different cargo shipments and whatnot to see what's inside. Obviously some sort of heat mapping and whatnot going on there as well. So I like Big Bear AI, and I think it's a great long-term hold, which is why it's a play for me into 2026. All right, so futures, man, they basically bounced off the 50-period moving average. So we're able to empty it out. Like I said, it's not going to be, we're short at the level we want to be. So if it does break through here on the weekly or on the monthly here, actually for the, okay, come on, chart, pull down for the TQs. This is, I just want to explain my position just so you guys know that we're not just putting on some random here. This is 56.50 right here. So this is all month for the futures and Nasdaq. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening there. I have it just ticking a little bit higher than this, 56.50, and we're out. So right now, I think this is well worth a 12-cent talk. So that's what we're short right now at 49, sorry. So yeah, 12, 13 cents worth of risk I think is worth it here in case we do get a downside play. Really light on news so far this morning, right? There hasn't been like a sort of a crazy breaking story or anything like that. But on that note,
I know you say that, and then we're going right.
I don't know if this is a segment or not, but it's not. Okay, so maybe a news piece here. Dara, give us something.
It's like
It's not breaking because I actually already mentioned it, but I just want to bring this up again because Ford's actually moving quite nicely here. Around 10 a.m., we did get what looks like a press release here from Ford announcing that they have appointed Lisa Drake, their new president of Ford Energy, and also mentioning here in the same announcement that the company will be launching a new battery energy storage business. Now, around 10:20 a.m., so 20 minutes after this headline came out, I started seeing people post about this new battery energy storage business, which is why I looked into this. Again, this came out at 10 a.m., but new business here for F. Just wanted to mention that. This one is quite strong, though. As Sean and Neil mentioned, there's really not been much of any big breaking news today. Back to you.
You are right about that intraday, but that doesn't mean that you don't keep your ear to the ground, which we always do, and that's why we have it there, and appreciate you there. So I've moved my stop. I'll get to that in a quick second. I moved my stop on RR to try to trail it, but Intel, after trading it under VWAP, it kind of didn't run the high, but it just broke trend. So on a 3-minute chart, there's our trend line. This is the rejection. It's so tight to VWAP that I want to see it lose the volume weighted average price before getting in, and then just give it to the prior bar. That's always the plan of action. But Intel starting to set up again. Just save that. I don't want that to go the next time I look at it. But RR, why is it not? It's weird. RR is not in my drop down. It always, see, look.
It is. No, it isn't.
It is, but like it doesn't. Let me try it again. There we go.
It's there. Yeah.
I get so used to using, if you just start typing a symbol, it auto completes for you. And it's like a pain in the butt, so when it's not the top. But I moved my trail up to this prior bar. We've wicked 460 a couple of times here. So if we lose this prior bar, I'm out. Otherwise, I'm gunning kind of for this high of the day here in RR. After the VWAP trade worked out for us, it was about waiting for it to confirm VWAP. And we talked about this with, and I don't know if he'll be on this week, but we have Luis here from Real Trading on at least every other week. And both he and Sharif talk about specifically VWAP on these gap plays. If it makes a pre-market high and can't hold VWAP, I don't like the long until it shows me that it can. And if it just continues underneath the entire way, then maybe you look for shorts underneath. But it confirmed here with this wick that it was holding. You jump in, play one range, look to hold for the next, and we'll see if this one can continue to go. Oh wow, 190 on NVIDIA incoming?
That's the problem with this market, man.
Wow,
it's not
NVIDIA.
stopping anymore.
NVIDIA is looking like a rocket ship. All right, this might actually mean, the way this is going, that we don't get this hold under VWAP for the short on Intel. Yeah, the way this market's going, maybe we just blow out the top and I do get 45s.
On Intel, yeah, Intel is going to be, come on, Intel 45s?
Oh, well, that's the resistance level.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I had written down Intel today 43 long, so yeah, I wasn't sure it was up there that high, but it's 43.80 as I look at that right now. So let's see, right there, right now. Okay, man, I just asked Bart. Hey, what's up, Bart? Mentioned in the chat that these levels are probably the right short right here for the TQs, and I said, well, how do you know that? This is the response: magic. So I like that kind of talk, except for magic is pretty hard to replicate. Well, if normal magic's not, but you know, if I don't know what the magic is, then it's very, very hard to find.
Daughter's working on, she loves magic.
Yeah, we have one of those little magic sets that we have for our kids a long time.
She's got a couple, but she learned a new trick that I'm trying to, she's perfecting it.
Right.
See if I can get her to do it on camera. But yesterday, it's a snow day, and so we were doing, like, whatever. We had built a fort, and we're doing a lot of stuff, but there's this card trick that she's starting to get pretty good at. That if I get her to do it on camera and she's like,
yeah, of course,
cool with it, I'll show it to you guys. But she loves
magic, yeah,
watching magic shows, and especially on YouTube. Well, I try to explain to her magic on YouTube and the shorts is not quite the same as stage magicians, because I think part of the issue with magic on YouTube is you get the right angle and then you can practice a million times to get it right.
It is more impressive in person.
A stage magician has to nail it right then and there in front of you and can't just show you the best take out of like 150, but still, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. I like magic for sure. Let her watch some David Blaine out there. Pretty cool stuff there. We watched with my kids, and I could barely watch it, was that Alex Hanifold or whatever, the guy that climbed the Taipei 101.
That's crazy.
Holy shit, that's
crazy. I can't.
I couldn't look at some of the stuff.
No, because if a dude's gonna, I'm not watching a dude die.
Yeah, well, neither am I. But I already knew that. We watched it last night. It happened on Saturday, so I already knew
the live thing.
I already knew that he was there, and I was like, holy crap! Like, what a spectacle, I guess, to be at if you were there live. I cannot believe if you have a chance and you have Netflix, you have a way of watching it. Go watch that immediately.
It's cool.
It's one of the
you
most
heard
awesome
about that.
things you're gonna watch.
You heard about that dude? Like he basically doesn't have fear. Like
no shit.
Like but literally, like it's like a thing in his like brain. Like medically speaking, he just does not feel fear the way that a regular human being does.
Oh no, that's obvious. He sits there on a ledge just with his fingertips and can go his body weight like 600 chin-ups.
Oh, he's
just with the tips of his fingers.
Yeah.
Talk about like some gorilla strength there, man. That guy is absolutely insane. Looks like the TQs is going to blow this top through, so we're going to get stopped out right there. Oh, almost. Did we? Yes. Okay. Takes out 65s there on the Nasdaq, so that's a downside play there for the Nasdaq. I don't think that's the right price. I actually wanted to get out at 70s, so let's. Okay, well, we might still get out at 70s right now. Let's take a shot at this one. What's up, Adara?
Boeing earnings call happening right now that started at 10:30 a.m. CEO Kelly Ortberg saying that apparently they're currently staffing their new 737 production line in anticipation of moving to 47 jets a month later this year. Their current production here for the 737 is 42 a month, so that would be another production hike here for BA. Again, Kelly Ortberg, CEO of the company, saying the company is staffing their new 737 production line, hoping they can increase their monthly production by 5 jets per month. I do also want to mention GLW because this one has been incredibly strong today. This is Corning. There was a catalyst in this name. It was actually on our Trader TV Live watch list this morning as well, with Meta apparently making a $6 billion deal. They're going to invest up to $6 billion in Corning for their cables. Back to you.
Okay. Well, didn't think it was going to go this way, which was the market breaking higher at the moment that Intel is taking out underneath VWAP. So the market makes a high, and it looks like Intel's going to break down. It's the same plan of action before. It breaks down this little bid that it had at 43.75, so I just punched the 74s. This bar here is like basically evens, so call it like 44 even. It's like a penny or two away, but that's going to be the end. That's going to be the exit point, and we're looking for a play into the low of the day. If we can hold on to there's your high, there's your lower high. If it holds on to this trend under VWAP, then it becomes an add on the trend line. And then at some point, if we extend down maybe to 43.30, then I would move the stop down into the trend. Hopefully this one moves a little faster than, like USAR is just an oddly, the structure of it's kind of hilariously working, but not breaking down again. So it broke that low. Oh, these wicks here are the problem. So it breaks the low here, throw the stop to the prior bar, tests it, doesn't break, and is now fading lower, but it hasn't given me that 1-to-1 yet. Like it's just sort of hanging in the bottom of the range, looking for that flush, but it could be coming in now as we're sliding back in low. So Intel, new position for me. RR looks like it's holding the level we jumped out. If it retests and holds VWAP, I don't mind getting back in at the volume weighted average price, but I'm gonna sit this one out until we either get that or I can see how it reacts to that 480 level. And the reason, part of the reason for taking it out, again, if you're just looking at Richtech Robotics for the first time today, I know it's a popular one on the visualizer. It's still, actually, it's still number 1 on the visualizer. USAR is going to be number 2 in here. It just comes down to this level on the daily. Like this big time top here on the daily at about $4.80. That's the reason that I was out early on this. Just a huge resistance on the daily chart. Let's go to Adara again at the desk.
Just going to do a quick sector watch. Now, it's interesting because the sector board is itself quite mixed. There's a lot of sectors that are strong, a lot of sectors that are weak, but generally, things for the most part are moving together as a group. Now, there are some notable exceptions, so we'll start with those. Health services generally incredibly weak, with both UNH and HUM down roughly 20% at their lows of day after we get this Medicare insurer rate proposal coming out here. But I guess worth noting here, HCA up about 10%. Then you've got tech services, which is also really mixed. Google and Microsoft both up roughly 1% on the day. But then you've got the likes of Oracle, ServiceNow to the downside. Adobe also down 3.5%. Other than that, though, generally these sectors are moving as a group. Producer manufacturing, health tech, and electronic technology very strong, while finance, commercial services, and communications all pretty weak today. So a bit of a mixed look with communications. You're going to get Verizon and AT&T reporting earnings this week. So certainly a sector to keep an eye on heading into the rest of the week. I believe Verizon on Friday morning and AT&T tomorrow morning, I believe. Back to you.
Yeah, we do have some good earnings coming up very, very soon. I'm actually going to, if you guys just go over to TTV Research,
that's
right now. This is Adara's sort of X page that she's managing there, and you could see this is what's coming on here, January the 27th today. We've already had in the pre-market pretty much everything come through today. Well, we can go over them all right now too. Boeing, nice move today, actually heading a little lower. We'll talk about that. AAL, Raytheon, UNH down 20%, GM up 7%. Tonight we've got some more tech names though coming through. Seagate, Texas Instruments, Logitech there, and then big time. I don't know where. Oh, here. This is the weekly one right into here. So yeah, we're going late on these days with you guys, Wednesday, Thursday. So tomorrow and Thursday, stay with us here live on air, and we will be discussing all of this, man. Microsoft, Meta, IBM, and Tesla. Where's Obi when you need it? Oh boy, those are some big names coming through tomorrow after market. Starbucks tomorrow morning should be pretty good.
Throw in Lam there as well. I mean,
yeah, tomorrow morning is going to be a good one, and then Lam Research tomorrow night. Yeah, and IBM, we didn't even look at that. Las Vegas Sands.
Got a lot to.
There's a lot of names in here that people own, that's for sure. And then even tomorrow, big time holdings there, Caterpillar, and then we see what happens with some of these memory names, and then of course, and Western Digital, and the biggest and the baddest name right there, Apple. We'll see what ends up happening with them tomorrow, but pretty good so far. I didn't even look at Nucor, steel name, but yeah, so far so good on the earnings reports. I mean, I don't know. Intel, we already looked at that, but this is the big one that many traders are sort of somewhat nervous about. I think like they sort of sent this to the downside with a bad forecast moving forward, unable to sort of justify the foundry there, and giving us no news on customers or anything. And apparently later on Q3 or so of this year, Intel's going to have some sort of an investor day or whatever, and tell us what's good. So Intel right now, nice downside move. And then on the 777 here for Boeing, apparently there's some story right here. Launched a global e-commerce platform. They're going through their call right now. So lots of stuff happening with Boeing. Just be careful if you're in this name. It started to tick a little bit lower there. I thought the call was about 10:30, right? Yeah, so it started there. And Adara's already given us the update. So on anything right now, they're continuous certifying this 77X, and Adara has the story right now for you on Boeing.
You mentioned that 777X thing, Sean. What's interesting is this actually ends up being more of a GE story, because what Boeing says is that they identified a durability issue on their 777X engine with GE. Now, they did say that they don't expect the GE engine issue to impact 777X delivery, but as we get this, GE kind of drops out of nowhere, and they were actually up on the day. So GE potentially reacting to this Boeing call. We also have Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg saying that they're working with GE to understand the engine issue with 777X so that they can finalize the root cause and corrective action. So GE probably going to remain on watch for a bit here as we get more 777X talks. Back to you.
Okay. You like
As
those
pointed
talks?
out
Like those talks?
by Trader Forever, it looks like at least on a closing basis or an intraday basis, we just made a high in the SPY. Maybe not an actual wick high, but on an intraday,
Oh, yeah, look at that.
like an intraday basis, the SPY just ran through the tops. You're not going to be able to say the same thing about the Qs, however, but the Qs have been a bit of a different beast.
Getting close.
Here, like I said, we're getting close. A local high was broken on the Qs, but you've still got. Get this out of the way. You've still got at least half, maybe even more than a percent, half percent to go. Yeah, like $3 or $4 there on the Qs. We're still going to have room to go. But the SPY breaking out those highs, and what really GME. Okay, so GME, it was consolidating at VWAP. It's not anymore. That's now breaking heavily away from the volume weighted average price. So this one's starting to go. Might have missed this one. I was looking for this confirmation here, and then, okay, so we break VWAP, we hold VWAP. Let's get it on this candle. Well, that candle just went a full percent on its own. So GameStop, the third entry, is going to be a bit of a miss. Where's Apple as we're breaking these highs? The problem with Apple is now it doesn't even look that good. It's like a head and shoulders kind of thing going on for Apple. Like the long was early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And then Intel holds on, so it does hold on to the prior bar. There's no add unless this is putting in lower highs. As I said, I want it holding on to this downward trend. And once it establishes that we're holding this trend, I can look to add to the position and then move the stop from there to the trend line, which right now is exactly the same. So until that starts working downside more, we're not adding to that position. We got a super chat here from Alberta Gloater. Alberta Gloater.
Yes.
It's an interesting name. Talking trash from Alberta. To you, Lumen. Thoughts on a swing long? They were the BDAI deal, right? Was that them?
Maybe.
Was it?
I can't even remember really what Lumen does, to be honest with you, right now. LUMN. Are they? They're not LiDAR, are they? Okay.
No, it was Palantir, not
telecommunications, carriers, service global
deal.
enterprises, yeah. Palantir, yeah. A business full suite of communication services, co-location, data center services. Okay, so yeah, all right. So if you're talking about Lumen for a swing long here, seems like they're in the, now that I just read sort of the, co-location data centers, so on and so forth. We've seen a big move up for CoreWeave, obviously, over the last little while as well. And there's Lumen. I mean, you're talking about a swing trade long. Yeah, you're starting to turn up here on the 50-period moving average. Good hold down here at 750, looking like it wants to break out there a little bit for Lumen. So this, to me, is looking fine. I just want to see what the reporting date is here for Lumen just to get going. And here it is. I'll put this up on the screen to show you guys. This is the Benzinga Pro platform, and we can just go up here and see February the 3rd. So again, a stock that's not making any money, no current PEs, with a short float of just 9%. So that's actually not too bad. We don't mind that kind of a short float as well. But yeah, it looks like it's setting up pretty decently there for that swing long, I would say. Breaking through this $10, it won't stop now. And then you get into this 11 area. Yeah, good trade. I like it. I think the space is right. We just talked about that CoreWeave deal as well. So yeah, Lumen right there just trying to find its footing, and you might have got a good one there. And thank you, Alberta Gloater, there for the super chat. It seems like Lumen might be the right space at the right time. So yeah, good little look there. Boeing still talking. Are we going to Adara for that, or? Oh, Money Talks. Okay, wow, it's 10:50 already. Wow. Money Talks with Adara, then we'll figure out what was for lunch. It was jerk chicken yesterday.
Oh, come on.
So yeah, we'll hear about that when we get back. And it's Adara right now with Money Talks. So go find out about the Dixie, the dollar.
Let's hope for a less spicy lunch today, but let's also talk here about the GBP USD before we get to that Dixie, Sean, because Great British Pound doing quite well in the US dollar. Now, I've seen this basically just attributed more to dollar weakness than to strength specifically in the GBP, but interesting look here for the US dollar. Now let's go to see that DXY chart. big drop here for the DXY. We're coming into some lowest levels since this September of 2025. This is that low we made on the September Fed meeting. We'll talk Fed in a minute, but right now I want to discuss this weakness in the dollar. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, there is some speculation that the U.S. Treasury could be signaling potential support for the Japanese yen. Now, apparently, Japan's finance minister has also signaled that they are willing to act in the forex markets if need be. So, could be some yen intervention that's being attributed to a good portion of the DXY weakness, as far as I've seen. Though there's also uncertainty ahead of this Fed meeting. Now, I want to show this infographic again because I do think it's worth knowing how splintered the Fed is right now. Only 75% of the voting members of the Fed actually voted for the rate cut that we had at that last meeting. That's two Feds voting in a more hawkish way, one voting more dovishly. Now, I do also want to mention this is going to be the last Fed meeting for at least one Fed member. That's Fed's Bostic. He's not a voting member currently, so he's not pictured here, but he actually retires or leaves the Fed here, resigns as of January 31st, 2026. So this will be his last Fed meeting. This could also be the last meeting for Feds Myron, because Feds Myron's term, because he was filling in for Feds Kugler, technically expires on January 31st, but he could also always be renewed. So potentially Fed Myron's last meeting, definitely Fed Bostic's. Let's talk here, though, about the rate odds. They're exactly the same they were yesterday. 97.2% of participants expecting rates will be held. A meager 2.8%, just 2.8% expecting a cut. Back to you.
Yeah.
USAR down 5%. Yeah, that's coming back.
Red wire.
Shreve
just came. Was a
little bit there. Yeah, he's getting they're getting locked.
So the only like longer term trade. When I say longer term, it's all day trade. The only non-scalp trade that set up for me was actually USAR. This 25 break, and we held it for like a half an hour while it pressed into this high, but it just wicked me out. And again, my stop has been that bar the entire time. That might be a bad wick out. If we close back under, I'll take another shot at it because, like I said, the structure of it's holding out pretty well. Yeah, this is looking like that's looking like a wick out. So I'll try to jump back in and then just give it a couple of extra cents. And then a similar thing for Intel. Like, it was good early. We took the trend breakdown, but then it took out the prior bar. So this was another one, just like you sit in the trade, wait for it to either go or wait for it to break out that stop. This is something looking a little bit stronger to set upside. That being said, Richtech, which we were just mentioning, is holding. It's not this technically wouldn't be an all-day trend line, but for all intents and purposes, at the open, high or low, this is holding the trend to set upside. And that sets me up for that 480 on the daily. That's resistance up there. And if you lose a resistance level and break trend, it's a scalp trade into VWAP for me. So if we fail to break at 480, I still like the long in the stock, but I'll probably have to pay for, you got to pay for locates here, so I'll go ahead and do that. But you break this trend line, scalp to the volume weighted average price on Richtech. But I got to go pay for locates. They'll be cheap.
And Richtech Robotics, yeah.
They'll be like
everything was. I got some. What did I get for Obi yesterday? It was something. Oh, I think it was CoreWeave actually. CoreWeave. Let's check out CoreWeave.
CoreWeave was. CoreWeave?
Yeah, you had to pay for CoreWeave, but it was like. It was a sixth of a penny. It was like one of those free ones there. So yeah, we had no problem doing that yesterday. And you actually wound up holding something yesterday, which was a good move. We don't have Obi today. We have Joe and Sharif, so that's going to be a treat for everybody as the midday show is back to normal attendance. Yeah, there's that 110. I mean, CoreWeave, what a great opportunity to trade that there the last couple of days with that new news from NVIDIA and their investment. Good job there. All right, man, finally. Money. Someone said, like, you must be, share sort of agnostic here with how high this TQs go up. I go, nah, I'm just a fool. And for some reason, these guys trust me and give me a huge stop. So, yeah, we're just going to keep on averaging in here until this doesn't work out. And 56.70, like, we are just very, very close to getting blown through right there. And that's still going to be our stop. So that's what we're going to do there on the TQQs. I do like Big Bear AI. Thank you for the question there. Diet soda. And I do prefer Diet Pepsi over Diet Coke. But yeah, BBAI, really? Nice move up 3% today. I like their technology. I like this as a long-term hold. And it's not the sexiest name around. I mean, you can clearly see right here just by looking at the daily chart. It's done jack all right here for 2 months, 3 months. This is November. So up and down and around, and we talked about, some of these names. The Palantir is very, very similar, although Palantir had a similar high on earnings and then fell back in. So Big Bear AI, you know, technically, I like it at this level because it's a 200 period, but honestly, there's really no momentum in the name right now. So whenever a stock is sleeping like this, it's not really, like you can nibble in, which I'm doing, and we've talked about, you know, buying some off the 200 period moving average. But ahead of anything going wrong, you're going to be killed if this name, something goes out, either a downgrade or their technology is legit, so I'm not too worried about that. They're signing up U.S. Army deals with major corporations. We talked about that, the Kraft Group and whatnot, and major airports across the nation. 24% short. So when they get something right, this name is going to just blast through. And Big Bear AI, I still like it. I got to support that name, and we've been in that name for a while. You guys know the story there. We were in at like 3 or 4. Our average price is still 420. So that's still the average price. But, you know, we got out on the way up this first time where it went like this, went parabolic. This is where we got out of it that next time, where we said we were buying this dip into the 200 period, gave us an average price of that 420. Then we were out like first tranche right here, 550. This was the 550, 650, 850. Those are all of our outs, you know, documented, talked about on the show. Came back in, did not rebuy it, and have rebought a little bit down into here. We purchased, this was one of our plays for the year. Let's wait to see what's going on with that play. All right, man. Yesterday was jerk chicken. The flag was Jamaican. Okay. And then Obi said, this chicken's Jamaican me hungry. All right, today's French flag. Oh, we like the French flag. I mean, that's, you know, generally, other than Italian, probably
there's nothing,
second best cuisine.
Yeah, but there's nothing that the caterer that's on the usual menu that I would classify as French.
Mean,
so I have no idea what this is going to be.
I don't even know what this is.
Exactly.
Green?
That's a problem.
Does this make sense? Green peppercorn chicken. Peppercorns, I think, are black. A green peppercorn chicken with some ratatouille. There it is, French.
I actually don't think that you should
potato.
describe anything chicken related with the word green.
Yep, yeah. Green, maybe green sauce. I don't know. Baked potatoes, mixed green salad. If you're French, I'm sorry, but that's what's there today. And
I mean, that doesn't even sound like it's French.
No, today's
green chicken.
Breakfast was scrambled eggs and bacon. Wasn't bad. And then we always get the bagels and all that kind of stuff. Way overdone around here on that side of it. But yeah, that's what's for lunch today there. Green peppercorn chicken.
Gray, okay, Gray Matter just said in the chat, peppercorns are black, white, pink, and green. Okay, so.
Okay, yeah, could be.
So green peppercorns. But what makes that French? I've literally never heard of it.
French is more like the fine dining, right? The little, you know, attention to details there. So maybe the green peppercorn chicken there. Ratatouille, a French word at least. All right, so yeah, the mistrade today for me, Intel for sure. Mistrade today is Apple. You know, but whatever, man. Woe is me. Someone in the chat there called this out. Great call out at the 200 period there. 259.50, man. You could have just ran that thing $1. Like, so stupid, man. You take 1,000 shares, you make a week or something.
Oh, it's a green peppercorn sauce.
Yeah, that's why I said it could potentially be a sauce.
Okay.
It doesn't say sauce. I don't know. Who knows if it's a sauce or not? But
just someone in the chat's like, oh, it's probably a sauce.
Yeah.
Would be a thing.
Yeah,
okay,
well, that's why I said. I said maybe the sauce is green. Who knows? But we'll wait to see there. Green peppercorn should be interesting there today. But yeah, Apple missed, Intel as well on the downside, man. Those are the two trades we had. We missed them all, but they didn't exactly hit our levels. Intel was along at 43, and we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, that's it for us right now. Anything you're working on here before
topping that RR broke that 480 level. Remember, it's been a good long, but this is the level, and this is a huge level on the daily. It's a quadruple top. So for me, if it breaks trend on a false break here, I'm looking for just a VWAP retracement play to the south side. Shorts were relatively cheap. We do have Joey. Oh, before we go to Joe and Sharif, we're going to take you to the desk. I think we've got some news, and then we'll pop it over to Joey Options and Sharif the Professor.
Really quickly, guys, this is a $6 move for Boeing right here. BA, I was looking to kind of see what this headline was. There was one from 5 minutes ago. This could be the reason for this move. Apparently, an executive at Boeing during their call said that they delivered their first operational T-7A Red Hawk to the U.S. Air Force at Joint Base San Antonio. Back to you.